The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are not necessarily representative of the coalition or any other entity. This content is intended for mature audiences only.
What's going on, people? Welcome to Throwdown Your Questions, episode 158. I'm your host, Tony Polanco, and I'm joined by Chris Seeley.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
Carlos Romero.
Yo, yo, yo.
And Adam Vale.
What's up, people?
All right, two things. First off, I just realized that I didn't change the titles. So, I know it says Throwdown episode 158, but it's Throwdown Your Questions on episode 58. And we're also down a bunch of people. And this is why I'm glad we have a big-ass cast here. It's crazy, man. I'm going to do a little bit of fluff. So, Adam, what are you doing right now in the Call of Duties, man?
Let me see. Well, lately I've been doing that multiplayer, and I mentioned this off air for those who don't know. They screwed up. It's supposed to be just a double XP weekend, but it's actually a triple XP weekend. So if anybody wants to jump on, you still have a few hours and try to level up quick, get that prestige. But besides that, now I jumped into the campaign a little bit. Still doing campaign 2, which on Hardened, and I tried veteran. Veteran's no joke in this one. So maybe later on, at a later date, I'll go back, because usually I finish them on veteran. But I'm doing Hardened, and it's good. I mean, there's one part that was real cheesy with the planes and getting an AA gun. Had to get some assist from Carlos, but besides that, no, it's cool. It's fun.
This is your game of the year now, right?
Yeah, this is my game of the year.
That's amazing, man.
But here's the thing. It's my game of the year because of the fun factor. It's so fun. You know what I mean? Is it perfect? No game is perfect. They got problems. Damn right, it got problems. Hell, one mode isn't even on yet. Headquarters they had to take down because of all the damn issues it was having. But all the other stuff, the improvements that they put in headquarters, you can see the potential. It's all there. It's awesome. It's like, what's that thing in Destiny when we go to the farm? But let's say if you went to the farm and there was actually things you can do together with others in the farm, like a training mode and little mini games and stuff between other people. And I remember the Activision, all the classic games that they added in there. So there's other things going on. And then it's just, the multiplayer. It's got every mode, plus the new mode of war, which is great, and it just feels right. It feels like a Call of Duty. You don't have all the crazy wall running and cloaking and all that high-tech, futuristic bullshit. It's just, duck, get some health packs, throw a grenade, shoot people in the face. There you go. Call of Duty. Love it.
All right. So let's see. Manny said he's going to a concert. I don't know who he's seeing
on a Sunday.
On a Sunday. That's what I'm talking about. Who has a concert on a Sunday? That's weird. Brett, who knows? He'll probably show up later. And Brian's saving the Queen. All right, so, by the way, if you guys are on YouTube, just refresh. I changed the fucking title. I totally forgot. There's so, when I started, I'm like, I think I'm forgetting something. Everything's fine. I forgot the fucking title, bruh. So yeah, just refresh the page. And without further ado, actually, no, there is further ado. I want to give a big shout out to Randall Thor, who we had on Thursday. Very good guest talking to us about the X. That was really awesome, giving us a lot of knowledge on that field. So that was cool. And also, I want to ask you guys who are watching us tonight to just sit back and relax. We're not taking any questions live tonight because we got a ton of them. It's crazy, man. It's one of those weeks. I'm guessing something happened last week. I don't know. All right, man. So let's start off with the first one. Is a parrot, a.k.a. Doc Gamer. Get ready, man. Okay. We now have multiple comparisons between the Xbox One X and PlayStation 4 Pro games, and the vast majority of differences are how you guys called it, us being Throwdown. The differences are minimal and will only appeal to the hardcore of the hardcore. My question is, if a consumer is willing to shell out $500 for a hardware upgrade, assuming he bought an Xbox One OG at launch, wouldn't it make more sense for this person to invest into a gaming PC instead? That's $1,000 right there.
I don't know, because it is like there's Brett's argument of just simplicity, You know, just getting this box contained in your house and you just put it in your living room and play what you want, versus a PC that requires like a lot of know-how and effort to keep it updated, and then you got to worry about other things because it's Windows and all that stuff. So, from money-wise, if you just look at the money, then like yeah, that kind of makes sense. But if you look at just the work and complexity of it, versus just buying an Xbox One X, put it in your living room, hook it up, and you're good to go, right?
Yeah.
It manages itself pretty easy. So those are the considerations. Where we're coming from, like we know computers and whatever well enough, so be like, why wouldn't you get a PC? But you have to look at it from the other side. Maybe somebody doesn't want to deal with that. They just want to slap that thing down, play it. It updates online. They put their game in, and they're good to go.
Right, yeah, so and there's also people
in that consideration.
Yeah, and there's also people who just aren't interested in that shit. Let's just be honest.
Right. And it's been tried. Look at Steam with those Steam boxes. They tried it. They thought just that logic. They were like, damn, why not? You people spending all this money on consoles. Here's a PC that does it all in a box like a console. Buy it. Oh shit, you didn't buy it. Guess you don't really want it.
Well, the difference between those two is Steambox wasn't that big as PC is. Like PC is huge.
Yeah,
like
but you gotta really. I mean, they were trying to do that smooth transition, and that would be the transition, unless you tell somebody, all right, go buy these specs and get this video card, and you're good to go. So it was like, here's a pretty good video card, better than in the consoles, that's for sure. You know, and enjoy and join the PC world and get the great prices. And people just didn't buy them.
Yeah, the Steam boxes and shit.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, go ahead, man.
Yeah, I think it just all depends on who's asking for it. Like, for example, little kids who want a gaming experience, are they going to want an Xbox One X or are they going to want a PC? It just all depends on who is influencing them. Like, are they, like my little nephew, like he's like, oh, I want a gaming PC. I want a gaming PC. I'm like, this dude is like 7 years old. Like, how does he know about gaming PCs? Like, because he watches YouTube videos, and YouTube videos, there's all these dudes streaming video games on the PC, and that's how they influence him. Like, he doesn't really grab the concept of what 6 teraflops is as opposed to whatever PC handles or whatever it could handle. It's just, or the prices at all. They just want something, and they're going to get it. As far as the Xbox fan base, the hardcore fan base, they're going to get it regardless of whether one is better than the other, or if it's more valid to get one because it's in the long run is going to benefit them more. They're just going to get it because they're fans of the platform, and they're just going to keep getting those.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Brett joined us. What's going on, Brett?
What's up, everybody? Are we live? I can never tell anymore.
Yes, we're live. We've been live for about 5 minutes or so.
I'm not as late as I thought that I was.
Yeah, and we're kind of answering something we've kind of gone over again. It was basically, the question was, if you spent $1,000 on Xbox consoles, the original Xbox and the new Xbox, why wouldn't you have invested that? You know, would it have been smart if you invested that in gaming PC? And Brett and Chris already kind of answered, you know, where you would come from because you said it in the past. Simplicity. Yeah, maybe it costs $1,000, but you may just want to keep things nice and simple, you know?
It's weird that everybody wants to equate, like, there's more to the PC console argument than just power. And, like, I know a lot of people don't realize that because power is, honestly, it's tied to specs, and specs are numbers, and even that's abused sometimes. I mean, Chris, how many times have you seen somebody, you know, project specs that sound fucking impressive, but because of the way that it's tooled, it's not really as impressive as you want to think?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, a lot of times it's just this is a very easy talking point for a lot of people, whereas something subjective like fun or ease of use or even UI is somewhat subjective. And so yeah, people completely forget about the simplicity of the whole thing. Like, yes, for the most part, you pop in a game and it does everything else that it needs to. Yes, it may need to download a patch. Yes, that may take a few minutes. Yes, it's not the same as back in the day when you just plugged in a disc and started playing. But for all intents and purposes, what you have to do as the consumer is about the same amount of workload. You don't have to figure out files unless you're dealing with, you know, mods or something like that. You don't have to figure out with boot order. You don't have to figure out conflicting programs. You don't have to figure out how well your computer can run this. Everything is pretty much locked in stone for you. So you put in the disk, now you wait 45 minutes, and then you play. And that's still kind of the end of it. And for a lot of people who are kind of either computer illiterate or honestly just too fucking busy. I mean, think about it. We have an entire group of people who are too busy to play the video game. Therefore, they are buying loot crates. They do not have enough time to play the product that they bought. What makes you think that these same people are going to take even 10 to 15 minutes to optimize their PC, even if it's even with, you know, the graphics cards and their programs that pretty much set up everything for you? That's still more work. And to some people, that's still intimidating. And even to a certain extent myself, like, yes, I'm sure I could figure out this stuff. I'm sure I could sit down and learn it. I don't have the time. And if I do have the time, it means I'm going to be spending it towards something else. It's not like I can't find 20 fucking minutes in my goddamn day to do this. It's that just about everything else is more important to me than spending that 20 minutes figuring out how to do that. I may be wrong.
I kind of disagree with that. Like, I think these audiences are more segregated than we like to believe. As far as console gaming, people pick consoles because that's their way of life. That's how it's always been to them. It's like, okay, I'm going to pick up a console and I'm going to go to the next one, and because it's the next Xbox, it's the next PlayStation, it's the next Nintendo system, I have to get the next one. I think when people think of PC, if they really want it, like if they ever considered it, I think they would get it. I just don't see, like, maybe there was barriers back then because PC.
I have both. I have a gaming PC and I still prefer console gaming.
Yeah.
No, but I never.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
But I'm saying people who have one or the other.
Yeah, well, no, people definitely double down on their investments, as you know. People are like, I made this choice, and therefore it's the right choice, and it's all I've ever known. And there is a good chunk of that, and I think that's the legitimate argument. That's where the reasonable argument is to be had in this conversation. The precursor to that, though, that I think a lot of people don't get past is the whole, it's not purely about power. For some people, it's about ease of access. For some people like Manny, it's about comfort. There's more to this discussion than simple raw numbers. And if you want to have the raw number discussion, yes, PC is going to come out on top every single time. And to people who only care about raw numbers or who are trying to defend their platform, that's really all they need. That's the beginning and end of the road. But that only really, okay, so like for 100 people attend this debate and somebody says, well, PC has more power. Yes, for 10 of those people in that audience of 100, that's it. That's the end of the debate. They can get up and they can walk out then feeling like they've won. But then there's 90 other people, and that's probably not a correct representation, but whatever, it's my point across. There's 90 other people who want to hear about UI, who want to hear about ease of use, who want to hear about streamlining. That's one of the reasons why I thought like an idea like a Steambox would honestly work pretty well. If you could disguise everything that's good about a PC with everything that's and put it in a box that basically acts like a console, I think more people would be into it. And I think you're right. There is the way we've always done things. And so, yeah, I think if you snuck a computer into somebody's living room disguised as a console, they'd fucking love it. But I still think, especially if you snuck into their living room disguised as a console, the second they have a driver conflict error, they're going to be like, what the holy fuck? And like just start tweeting at Sony incessantly.
Right?
Because that's not a thing console gamers are used to having to deal with. They're like, why is my game not working?
Yeah, but I'm saying like it's people should know what they're getting into, and that whole, the whole narrative of how PC gaming is like so much more difficult is kind of dwindling away. It's getting like before, I could understand 10 years ago. It's like, I don't understand how PC gaming works. Like, there's not that many people who post stuff about how to fix different things. It's like, and not only that, but console gaming is getting more complicated than it used to be.
Yeah,
I absolutely agree. The gap is closing. The gap is closing, and I think there are some people on both sides of the fence who aren't necessarily too happy about that, and some people that are. But yeah, no, you're absolutely right. 10 years ago was way worse. You actually had to kind of know some basic programming skills to be able to get things to run perfectly. You had to be able to dig into the code if you wanted to change some things or know how to put in mods. Now Steam has streamlined all of that, and it's made computer gaming much, much more accessible. Combine that with the fact that you have a generation of kids who are being taught basic programming languages the way that we were taught keyboard typing. Like, I remember going to keyboard typing, like, they fucking taught us how to type. Now they're teaching kids how to code. So this gap is it's definitely our generation thing, and it's not something that's going to exist forever. In the next 20 years, it's probably going to be completely fucking gone, and people will look at us like, you don't even know BASIC? I mean, it's BASIC.
Well, they don't teach BASIC anymore either. So,
well, okay, but you know what I mean.
But yeah, I kind of agree with you, Brett. But the thing that I would say is, like, a choice, like choosing the platform you play in should be a summation of quality attributes that weigh in over more than the other. And I don't think that in most cases people are looking into those quality attributes to establish which platform they prefer over the other. I think there's like more sort of loyalty to a brand, not necessarily fanboy in a fanboy sense, but sort of like I said earlier, it's like people are used to just getting the new PlayStation every time it comes out, or the Xbox, or the Nintendo console.
So you're saying it's a factor, just not a determining factor, then?
Yeah. So it's like
Okay.
people. I don't think people take into account, like, okay, so this thing does performance better, but it's less reliable, but it's more robust, but it's, I don't think people get to that criteria before making their minds.
Well, even like, and I may be the exception over here, but like let's take controls, and I'm sure somebody in the chat is going to come in and correct me, and I'd actually be happy to be corrected here. But most of the time, there doesn't seem to be a standard controller configuration for most games that I play, and it's honestly been a couple years since I've played a AAA game on a PC, so that may have changed. But most of the time, it's here's how most people are configuring it. And you have several different options, and you don't really know which one is the official one. And so you kind of go over and see, like, well, what is the control mapping on Xbox like? And you copy that over. But one of the things I noticed with my Steam controller that really actually upset me quite a bit is there was no pop on a game and this is the Steam controller support. It was all, well, the community recommends this or this or this. And there were always vastly different button layouts and different configurations and different ways to set up your controller, which can be great. But it can also be confusing, and in competitive games lead you to believe, like, do I have the wrong buttons set up? Am I not able to access the things that I'm supposed to, like, am I doing this wrong? I would have been and that was a great opportunity to pull me much more fully into PC gaming when I got my Steam controller, and because, like, I'm gonna get a Steam Link and a Steam controller, and it'll be pretty much like playing my Xbox in my living room, and it wasn't. There were so many ways that it wasn't, and if it was, I would have been on board 120%. But it was janky. The UI wasn't quite there. You still had to select your controller preferences.
Adam, man, you got to turn that shit down, bro.
It didn't do anything automatic. Like you had to go in and pretty much manually set up your preferences.
Adam, Brett, I'm sorry. Adam, mute your fucking self, bro. We hear that shit. He's ignoring us.
Adam,
hello. I think Adam turned. Okay, I'll mute his ass myself because.
You're on your own.
All right, he's muted. Sorry about that, Brett. Go ahead, and then we'll move on. I had to mute Adam because I couldn't fucking hear anything. Anyway, go ahead and finish up because we got to move. We got a lot of questions tonight.
That was pretty much all I was saying. Was that while I think Carlos brings up a lot of good points, and I actually find myself agreeing with him the more he makes his point. I will say that at least anecdotally, like, I was driven more away from PC gaming due to the lack of quality of life things that they had, and I'm hoping that gets polished and fixed sooner so that you have a more plug and play experience. But I can't imagine that I'm the only one who kind of sat down and went, okay, I'm just gonna go back to my PlayStation.
Yeah, that's what happened to me. I mean, I got this nice gaming PC, played with it for like a summer, and then after that, when I got back to PlayStation, I'm like, man, this is just so much easier, so much better. So I just stuck with it, But anyway, that's just me. So let's move on here. Tonight again, we got a lot of questions. So, and by the way, why are we getting random ass announcements in the middle of the night? Now they announced that Noxus is coming to Tekken 7. Really gonna announce that shit on a Sunday night? That's crazy. Anyway, next question is the rumors swirling the internet are that PlayStation 5 will be launching in 2019. From what I've heard, from what I've read, it will be 12 teraflops or a little bit higher, have a Ryzen CPU and a 12 gigabyte or more RAM. My question is, should PS5 focus on more 60 FPS upgrades for existing PS4/Pro games with added bells and whistles, PC Ultra settings, or should PS5 reset the entire generation and once again go for a massive leap in visual fidelity?
None of the above.
All right. What do you want then? Because actually, you know what? Before that, yeah. Listen, new gen. Stop with the bullshit. It's gonna be backwards compatible. We already know that. New gen. Make it so it's 60 frames, 4K, all that shit. You know, like let's get that right. Yeah, but let's start a whole new generation, not just upgrade the current one. You know. Anyway, Brett. So you don't want. What do you want? You want to go back to 8-bit graphics? I'm not understanding what you said. None of that. You know.
I don't want higher graphical power. I want higher processing power. Because processing is the processor is essentially, in my opinion, the bottleneck of where current gaming comes in, and because of that, you are now starting to see a difference in the type of game. I'm not talking the graphics. I'm talking about a game that can run on PC and cannot run on console. I mean, fucking take Minecraft for instance. You can't get a full version of Minecraft on any console. I'm going to fucking repeat that to you people in case anybody missed it. You cannot get a full version of Minecraft on console because no console can run a full version of Minecraft, the old 8-bit looking game, because it is so intense on your processor, because you're rendering so much and it's keeping track of so many things. They have to limit the world size on even the Xbox Scorpio below that of what your standard PC could do like 10 years ago. I was playing Minecraft, it has to be 9 years ago, it has to be. And I could play at a pretty much unlimited world size, and the game could render and de-render as necessary, and consoles today still can't fucking do that. And I find that, I'll be honest, fucking inexcusable. And we are not going to get the types of games that PC gaming is evolving into unless we keep up with the technology. And we are all so focused on 4K 60 frames per second that we do not give a fuck if we're just walking through a hallway filled with cardboard standouts that don't do anything. Like, we're never going to get true immersiveness in games. We're never going to get the BioShock that has 400 different endings depending on an algorithm based on your choices, because our current consoles can't handle that level of gaming or that level of computation. And that severely limits us to just making the same game over and over and over and over and over and over and over, and just trying to make it prettier or pulling in something that some other game did and incorporating that into your list of tricks, which inevitably leads down to the road of homogenization and boring games that are safe IPs for big companies to bet on. It is not good for the industry at all, and we need to open the doors to different kinds of games other than just visually pretty games. And if all we do is bump up the graphic fidelity and make this another iteration console that can play all the same games, we're just going to shoehorn ourselves into the point where PC gaming is just going to be beating the shit out of console gaming because they're going to have superior games across the board.
I don't agree with that. You don't see PC gaming having superior games now. It's the same shit on consoles.
Yes, they do. Minecraft.
Minecraft.
You can't play regular Minecraft on a console.
We're talking about like an actual. I mean, I know Minecraft is a real game, but okay,
Ark.
But you have that on consoles though.
And it sucks. It can't run properly. The game is going to bomb because consoles cannot run Ark the way that Ark
But is Ark blowing up the charts right now? Like sales?
No, it's unplayable. It is so bad. It is unplayable.
I'm talking about on PC.
Oh yeah, dude. Dude, they fucking sold millions of copies. It was one of Steam's biggest sellers.
The reason I'm asking you is because people have said this, and I hate to say it, but I'm going to say it. A lot of people feel that consoles are holding PC gaming back. Because think about it. Why are you going to only make one game for PC when you can have it on multiple systems? So you got to make for the lowest common denominator, right?
You do, and that's the problem. So you have to dumb it down. I mean, okay, look at it this way. Ark on Steam was a phenomenon. It was so big, it had copycat games within a couple of months. It helped popularize this battle royale gaming that's coming into like Wildlands and shit right now. Like, it was wildly financially successful, as was actually Rust before it, as was DayZ before it. You can't run any of those games on consoles, and none of those have permeated to the mass audience and gotten... Dude, one of these games could have been the next fucking World of Warcraft, but you can only play it on PC. You can't play it on console. And that's the problem. And that's the reason why people aren't making games like Ark or Rust or Minecraft or voxel games. It's the reason we're not going to see the EverQuest Next or EverQuest Landmark come out on console because the consoles can't fucking run them. And so then you have companies who are looking at this and being like, saying exactly what you said. Why would we spend the money to make a new, fun, innovative game that is going to get a third of the sales when we could just dumb it down, not put the work in, and release it for multiplats and make so much more money? Now, if they could take that same fun, innovative game and release it for multiplats, I'm imagining they sure as shit would. Because if Ark was that successful on PC, there's no reason it shouldn't be that successful on console, other than the fact that it's a broken, unplayable piece of shit on consoles. And even people who love the game cannot fucking stand playing it because it is literally unplayable with the frame rate and the lagging. It breaks the game because the console can't handle it. And I don't want to see us be stuck in another generation of a console that can't handle games that have been out on PC for 3 to 4 years. I don't see that. Tell me a world in which that's just that line. Like, my PC could play this 4 or 5 years ago. My PC could play this 9 years ago. Why can't my console do it? Is there a good answer to that question?
Yeah, probably because there's not enough CPU. That's probably the answer. So
that is the answer. So fucking fix it.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm with you on that one. You know, boost up both the GPU, because again, if you have games looking like Minecraft, they ain't fucking selling like that. You need both. You need CPU and GPU. So, but
do you know how much Minecraft has sold?
I know, but dude, that's an outlier. Just like GTA and Call of Duty are outliers.
It's not. Yeah. It cannot be an outlier. It is one of the most successful games of all time.
Dude, it's an outlier, just like GTA is, bro. Come on, man. You can't just say that. You know, how many of us in here right now have Minecraft? I fucking don't. You know,
I do. I have 4 copies.
Why? You know, but anyway, let's advance the conversation here. Carlos, get in here. PS5. What are your thoughts?
I don't think, while I agree with Brett's sympathies, I don't think that these are completely like mutually exclusive. I think you can have the advancements of everything, like the 4K 60 frames, and still accomplish what Brett wants to be accomplished.
Oh no! I'm not.
Yeah, I don't understand why you can't have both. That's where I'm kind of.
No, you can't have both. You can't. I thought we were talking about what we should focus on, and I'm saying the thing that I want to see more than anything is I don't want them to focus on graphical upgrades. I want them to focus on processing upgrades with the graphical upgrades that are going to come with that. I don't want them to stay the same graphically and just add more processing power, but I want processing power to be a thing that they focus on in the next iteration. I'm sorry if I made that unclear.
Okay. Yeah, so like for example, things like choices, outcomes, and the way sort of, you know, you were mentioning how there could be like 36 endings and they all happen to come upon depending on what actions you take on the game. Those don't necessarily require more CPU or GPU power. Those are things that take years and years to program because they're so intricate that you have to pay so much detail into the way you program these. That's why most games don't have multiple endings. But
couldn't you design an algorithm to take care of that for you instead of hand, drawing? I realize you'd have to voice a lot of voice acting, but instead of coming to each conclusion specifically, couldn't you build an algorithm that rolls a set of digital dice for? I mean, like even today, like the rules of D&D, we could make a classic D&D game where like I want to do this and the game computes what you do.
Right, but like for example, you want something that automates the process of splitting different routes in a game.
I don't know much about PC programming, but the way that I'm thinking about it is how D&D is a very simple rule set based on a chance of out of 20 system, and they can be pretty much established to any current situation and then come up with a reaction. So like an algorithm plus an AI could make for an actual legitimate D&D type experience where you could be like, well, I'm going to do this thing, and the game thinks for a second, goes, okay, well then this is what's going to happen, as opposed to having to have it pre-programmed in, kind of procedurally generated, but not.
Yeah, I don't think we're that advanced yet, to be honest. You can have stuff like what No Man's Sky does, but that's kind of super generic the way it does it. Yeah. The way it generates like if you think about it, like even animation, with Mass Effect, that was done in sort of a generalized form and fashion, the way they animated the facial animations and all that stuff, and that came out horrible. So we're not too okay.
I was just laughing. You were so right.
Yeah, we're not at a place where automatic intelligence can sort of polymorph the way worlds are generated and are interacted upon on. These things are way more procedural than you would think.
Even if it were just like factions though, like, and I know like I think at least it's currently along the lines of like, well, if you make this choice, it enacts this set of consequences. Couldn't it just be like, well, if you make this choice with this person, it augments your alliance number by this, and then augments your alliance number with all of these other people by here. So then if you hit these parameters next time you talk to the pirate captain, if you have a negative sum total of the other people you've talked to, you get this response, kind of like a choose your own adventure. Like, not the ending would be its own.
Oh, and that's pretty simple. It's like you do something, it increases this counter, which is sort of like a global variable, which whenever you reach this part of the game, it'll look upon that global variable and it'll see what you have. It's like, does this counter go up higher? Is it 20? Is it 30? Is it 40? Is it negative? You know, it's like, yeah, those things already happen, but not in a way where it's that sophisticated. Because it would need to all those different things would have to be programmed upon.
Yeah. Chris, get in here. Again, got to keep moving. We got a lot of questions tonight. What's your answer to this whole PS5 thing? What should it focus on?
Well, I think the problem is you can't really focus on making a leap in technology, because the downside of that is cost, right? As you put more hardware, edge hardware into a console, its price increases. Like if Sony were to say, go to AMD and go, okay, we're going to need a custom Ryzen SoC and whatever whatever the latest fig is, and you're going to need to scale that down, make us a custom chip, whatever. That system's going to be like over $1,000.
Yeah.
By the time you're done. So I think it's good to focus on getting the specs solid for like a good experience at 60 frames a second. That seems reasonable, with what exists now. And by the time they're ready to put it out, then AMD would have gotten several steppings ahead where the cost comes down, right? So the console will be at a generally reasonable price, probably the same as the Xbox One X is now.
Yeah.
So that's what they should focus on. If you focus on edge stuff, if they go, you're gonna need 3 jobs to get PS5, like you don't want to hear that.
Yeah, and I don't think you could. And I don't think you could release another console for $500. So they're gonna have to make certain, sacrifices in order to bring that shot to 400. So you can't have all these pie in the sky type of ideas. Last question, then we got to move on again. We got a lot of shit to cover tonight.
That's fine. No, just real quick question. What is to stop or force game companies to make 60 FPS 1080p games? There's nothing technically stopping them from doing that now. If they lower their resolution and textures, you can look at Doom. So if they have that option now and they don't take it just to make their games look prettier, what makes you think by upping the graphical processing that they wouldn't just say, well, we can throw more shit in at 30 frames per second? What makes you think that all of a sudden the games would be 60 frames per second?
Yeah, no, you're right about that, because let's just be honest. Gamers, the reason we have 4K right now, why the big focus is on 4K, is because gamers want prettier shit. They don't understand that higher frames get them better performance. They don't understand that it's easier to sell 4K than it is 60. So I could actually see next generation, it'd be like, 30 frames, and people would be like, fuck it, run to my 8K TV or whatever, So it's kind of disappointing. It's like, you guys don't understand that they can give you this shit that'll make your games better, but you don't want it. You just want shinier graphics, It irks me, man. For violence and empathy says 4K is a selling point. It really is, but whatever. Anyway, let's move on here. By the way, before we move on, Adam, can you hear us, man? I think he muted himself. I have to talk to this man. I'm like,
oh shit,
Adam, because I'm trying to unmute him, but I can't.
Yeah, Adam, you're muted on Google Hangouts, so you need to go to the chat where you can see us and just hit the top left.
Yeah.
Or the top middle. Sorry. Or where there's like the chat icon.
Yeah, Adam, if you need the night off to play Call of Duty, man, go right ahead. If you're not gonna participate, I'm just sorry to sound like an ass.
I didn't mute myself.
But you muted us though, because we were like, Adam. Yeah, you did. We were like, dude, there was a segment we were like, Adam, can you respond? And you just stay quiet because your TV was blurring through, bro.
I was talking and my TV's off.
You weren't talking. Your lips weren't moving when you were talking.
That's what I'm saying. So then I could hear you.
No, you don't understand. Your TV was blasting. We're like, Adam, turn it down. And then we're like, Adam, can you hear us? Can you hear us? You didn't respond. It's like, okay, that means he must have muted us. So I had to mute you because your TV was blasting.
We were getting sound from your end. It just wasn't you talking.
Yeah, exactly. You know, so I'm just going to say it. If you need to take the night off to play Call of Duty, let me know. It's okay. We got plenty of heads here, man. All right. And next question here from Mr. Fergus Mills. All right, after telling myself I wouldn't get an Xbox this generation, I got one coming in the mail this week. It's the S. I don't want to add more games to my backlog, but want to play the system to test it out. I'm only buying one game for it this year. What do you think the best exclusive non-PS4 game on Xbox One is?
Best exclusive non-what?
Yeah, okay. He bought an Xbox One. He's only going to buy one game for it this year. So what do you recommend?
Gears.
Yeah, Gears 4. Get that.
That's it. Get Gears 4.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I would recommend it over Halo 5.
Yeah, no, it has a better story compared to Halo 5.
I mean, you know what? Knowing Mills, he's a military guy. He loves Destiny. Yeah, get Gears. And I guess that's he said his winner would be whichever is the majority. So Gears kind of wins by default. I want to suggest, because my favorite Xbox One exclusive game is Sunset Overdrive, but I know that's a very niche type of game, so I wouldn't recommend that to anybody. You know,
actually, my favorite Xbox exclusive game, but this is on PC too, is Cuphead.
Oh, that's right. But
it's
yeah,
minimal experience.
Exactly. Yeah, knowing Mills, I'm going to recommend Gears 4. He likes shooting games. You know.
Can I point out one thing real quick? My answer would be, don't limit yourself to one game, man. I mean,
he only wants to get one game. He doesn't want to expand it, you know. So
and as much as I understand that, I do just want to point out, if it's a time thing, totally get it. Otherwise, your game, like, you were paying like $600 for one game. Your price point.
Whoa! How is that $600?
It's the Xbox One
S like a.
Okay.
It's 250 plus games, so 330-ish tax and all that, 350.
Yeah,
you know.
That's why I'm saying, like, pick up a couple, man. Like, I feel like you're really doing yourself a disservice by like two or three is not going to add too much to your backlog, and they give you the opportunity to play some games. Also, something I would recommend: go to your local library. They have a lot of games to rent for free. You would be surprised. And you can try your hand at a couple of them before you decide which one you want to
Can't you try Redbox or
current games? I thought it was just like 360 PS3 stuff.
No, Kobe gets games from he shocks me. He'll be like, "Yeah, man, I'm playing like this game that's like 3 months old." I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Yeah, I rented it from the library." I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, I mean, you have to go on a waiting list."
Adults go to the library? Okay.
No, and see, that's the thing. Everybody forgets that the library is a thing, and nobody knows that the library actually has video games that you can rent, and not old. They'll get a new one in, and you'll have to put yourself on a waiting list to get it, and maybe be there for a couple of months. But if you're talking about your backlog, I mean, take advantage, man.
Yeah,
I got a compromising answer. How about get a Xbox One S bundle with some games, and then pick up a copy of Gears 4.
He already ordered it.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, he already ordered it, yeah. But I think his thing is more time than money, because think about it. Xbox One games are cheap now. You know, you could buy a bunch of them, you know?
Yeah, I just don't know if...
I think it's just a time thing. So we got to just respect the spirit of his question, you know? But I'm with you, Brett. I'm with you. It's like, bro, get a bunch of shit like I did. When I got an Xbox One, I bought like 4 games for. I'm like, okay, let's fucking go. But
don't buy a bunch of shit. Just try it. Like, that's why I said the library. Like, don't limit. Like, what if you get a game and it's not the game that really bites you? Like, you're limiting your chances. Like, I just say don't draw a firm rule in the line in the sand. Like, there's only going to be one. Like, rent one, get a red box from one, pick up one for the library. Yeah, only buy one game, but try a couple.
Yeah, that's fair enough. You know,
because we may all love Gears, and you may pick up Gears and be like, this isn't my thing, and then it would reflect badly on the platform as a whole. Whereas Tony's favorite game is Sunset Overdrive. Maybe you just happen to fall more in line with, like, I'm not a big Gears man, but that's Sunset Overdrive. But if you only picked one to even try, you may never know that.
So he never had a 360?
No, he never had an Xbox, period.
Oh,
you know? You know, hey, I was like that up until last year, you know?
Yeah, but I mean, did he have a PS4 or he just doesn't?
Yeah, PS4, yeah. I played Destiny 1 with him back in the day, you know? Back in the day, 3 years ago.
So what's his reasoning then to get an Xbox if he's not even sure what game to get for?
Because he doesn't want to miss out, apparently. He's like, fuck it, let me try it. Yeah, he wants to try the platform. That's fair. That's what I did. I'm like, hey, try the platform, you know? All right, let's move on here to the next question.
Try Sunset Overdrive, though.
Yeah.
Try it.
Great game. All right. Okay. So next question is, have you ever played a game? This is an interesting one. Have you ever played a game that made you think to yourself that you could die happy and fulfilled without playing any other game ever again? If so, what game and why? Mine was Metal Gear Solid 4. After being a huge fan of the series for all these years, then finally taking out the Patriots, I smile like a proud dad watching his only son make it. Yeah, very interesting question. Maybe a tough one too.
It's tough.
That's a tough one, you know.
It's tough.
Fallout.
Which one?
4.
4. So if you could never play any other game ever again in your life, you'll be okay with that.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't be okay with it, but if I had to choose one,
no. But the question is, you die happy, going, you know what? This is the last game I played. Yeah.
Yeah. No. If somebody said you have to choose one game, I wouldn't be happy about them saying you have to choose one game, but I would happily pick Fallout 4. And I think previously it would have been Warcraft. There are certain games that have a dangerous mix of being able to do a little bit of everything. Like what made Warcraft so horrible was, like, I go out and quest, and then I get tired of questing, so I'm going to craft a little bit, and then I run out of crafting materials, so I go and farm some crafting materials. I go back and craft, and then I build a new robe, and then I go out and I quest my new robe, kind of thing. Like, it is you get bored in the game, so they give you another option of things to do inside that game, and then the next thing you know, you've been playing that game for like 8 fucking hours. Whereas a game like Mario or Zelda, as much as I love them, it's kind of the same activity over and over again. So I would personally have to put my vote towards one of those games where you can just do fucking whatever. And mine is Fallout, because I can go and quest, and then if I don't feel like questing, I can build settlements, and if I don't feel like building a settlement, I'll, do a companion thing, or like there's enough different things to do inside the game that I tend to be able to bury large portions of time with it, which I think is unique to only certain types of games. So as much as I fucking love Mega Man, I could not just constantly play Mega Man over and over and over forever.
Oh no, this question is not that. It's like it's saying if you could just play one game and then just stop and then die, like being the last game you played.
Oh! I was thinking of this as like a desert island scenario. So we're talking freaking like play then die, huh?
Kind of, yeah. Or like play, finish, and then not play another game until you die.
That is a hard question.
To be fair, though, I kind of thought the question was the desert islands scenario too, and that would have been tough. I'm like, there is no game like that. Like, typically, you guys know me, I like single player games. I don't like activity games. Those shits get boring quick. So I don't know if I would have anything like that, a desert island scenario. But like, if I play this game and I can never play any other, okay, I guess for that type of question, I could say, hey, you know what? I've played Metal Gear Solid 3. I could die now. So that's my answer. But the desert island one, that's a tough fucking version.
Yeah, because, I mean, you can't even add Destiny or any of those because those are multiplayer. So if you're by yourself on an island.
Well, we got Wi-Fi on the island, right?
But there's nobody there if you're the only person on this island.
I mean, for me, to answer not the desert island question, but for me, it would be Mass Effect 2 in 2010.
Ooh,
not right now.
Yeah, again, I would have to go with that. If I died in like 2005, after, it would have been all right. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's been very good games afterwards, but Metal Gear Solid 3 is still my favorite game of all time. That's fucking, it cannot be topped. Uncharted 2 almost did it, but then I came to my senses. But yeah. Yeah, that's my answer. Metal Gear Solid 3. Yeah. Chris.
I had a similar answer because I was thinking through several things. I was thinking like Demon Souls. I would have been happy, but you know what? I would say it's Peace Walker.
Ooh, Peace Walker. That has so much shit that you went into.
Peace Walker was so good, man.
Yeah.
So good, man. Yeah. If it was like, okay, you're done after you finish piece one, I'd be like, okay,
No
I'm
more
good.
games for you. All right, Adam.
Damn. Shit. I don't know. I mean, it'd either be a FIFA game or a Call of Duty game, and that'd be it.
This guy really is a bro gamer, son.
That's it. Those are the only two. Because if it's a story-based game, I can't keep going back to it. I mean,
No, but like you're gonna die after that. Like this is the last game you're gonna play. Like,
if I'm on my deathbed, then it would have been the last Gears. That was it. I'm like, because I love Gears. I love the
PS4?
series.
PS4?
No, Gears, Xbox.
Oh, the first one.
Oh,
okay.
the original. Oh.
Okay. Now I'm with you. I'm like 4, really, bro?
No. I mean, even if let's say I was gonna find out I only had like 1 month to live, and then that game's coming out, I'm like, that's the last one I want to play. I played all the other ones in the series. I love the franchise. Yeah, let me just go.
So let me ask you the other version of the question. Basically, if you had played Gears of War in 2007 and you would have died after that, you would have been happy, like not playing any other game.
Yeah, pretty much, because it's just the history that it has for me. So I'm like, yeah, I'm cool with it.
Cool. All right, and Brett, answer that version of the question.
Probably BioShock.
Ooh.
Because I mean, if we're talking about I'm gonna play this game and I'm gonna die, like I feel like it should be one of those things that sticks with you, that kind of that's art. I feel like art should tell something untellable. It should give you an idea or a feeling that can't necessarily be just distilled down into words easily. That is the very nature of art. It is something bigger than language. If you can explain a painting, or the explanation of the painting is more interesting than the painting, I don't consider it good art. And for that very reason, like BioShock had a lot of really heavy thematic elements in it. Almost kind of like, esoteric. This is the way that people work. This is the foundation and the way that human consciousness and the brain works, and it just seems like a fitting game to leave on, because it talks a lot about the nature of humanity, the nature of life, the nature of existence, the nature of parallel worlds. I think it'd be one of those games where like you kind of sit back like after a good story, the same way like I could die happy after watching Game of Thrones, but not Idiocracy. I love Idiocracy, but Game of Thrones, like there are certain things that kind of leave you with this deep, profound feeling, and I feel like if I'm on death row, I would want to play one of those games. Something that tells you something about life and people and the universe. So, BioShock.
There you go. By the way, if I was on death row, I would really like to play Metal Gear Solid 3, because in that game you actually escape from death row, kind of. So I'm like, ooh, teach me how to do this shit. I'm gonna fake that I have a stomach cramp or something. The guard comes in, I choke his ass out. All right.
Also, honorable mention of Hellblade.
Oh, Hellblade's a good game.
Oh, really? Oh,
interesting.
If you think about it, if you're about to die, like that is the kind of game that deals with the topics of like spirituality, of legacy, of relationships. I mean, it was very hard for me to play that game as a grieving person, but and I hate to say it like this, but as the person probably closer to death than most of the people here, that touches on a lot of thematic elements that, if you knew you were going to die, that game would be very poignant.
Yeah. By the way, because that's a little bit of a twist to the question. If I am going to die, what would be the last game I want to play? I need to think about that, but it'll definitely have to be a game where I kill a shit ton of people. I'm like, I'm dying. I'm taking a bunch of motherfuckers with me.
Like God of War?
Yeah, like God of War. The whole fucking Pantheon. Yeah, man. That's what I'm saying. Like God of War, Gears of War. Like, just put me at something I want to fucking kill. I'm dying. Everybody else is dying, even if they're digital. Like I want to go out feeling like
Call of Duty, man. I'm surprised you don't like shooters.
I don't like that shit, man. It's whack.
You're all about shooting people in the face. I don't.
No, but I like seeing the character. If Call of Duty was third person, that'd be a different story.
But
and also, it's like generic. It's like World War II. Okay, whatever. Like throw some robots in there or something. You know what I'm saying?
It's Titanfall, though.
I like Titanfall. Remember? What are you talking about?
Don't you like shooting people in the face?
I do like shooting people in the face, but I like seeing my character. I don't like when my character is just a floating gun. I've explained this on the show.
I'm the same way. It's the same reason I'm not. I'd be a huge Borderlands fan if it were in third person. I mean, fucking huge.
So would I, dude, because I love the art style, but it's the fact that you can't see your character. I'm like, come on, man, what is this shit? Anyway, let's move on.
You should like Ghost Recon then. Ghost Recon is that.
I played Ghost Recon. I don't like that shit. You know.
Yeah, like anyway.
Yeah. All right. Again, I don't like military, like modern day military shooters or like real world shooters. I'm like, you gotta have some fantastical element in there. You can't just have straight up shooting. That's stupid. You know.
That's called war, man.
Yeah, but you know, I could watch a movie. I could watch Saving Private Ryan. I don't need to play that shit. Anyway, let's move on here to G Megaforce 123. Whew, boy. All right. Why do people keep referring to Super Mario 64 as the best Mario game or the best Mario game of all time? To me, okay, let me finish. To me, it's become very obvious that this game has not aged very well at all and has had very few remaining virtues when you look at it as just a game analyzes mechanics and systems and design. I feel like just about everyone that says Super Mario 64 is quote-unquote the best has nostalgic rose-tinted glasses on. The list of complaints and criticisms that I can come up with when compared to newer games is so long. I genuinely think it's the worst Mario game out of all of them, past and future, when quote-unquote nostalgia and quote-unquote significance is taken out of the equation.
Yeah, this is towards me probably because I'm the only one that said that Super Mario 64 is the best one.
Yeah, so go ahead and answer first.
All right, man. So he's asking why do we consider this the best of the series? And
yeah, by the way, why people, not Throwdown, because I don't consider that shit the best. You already know my answer. Super Mario World all day, every day, man. No Mario game's ever going to top that shit. But anyway, go on, Mario 64.
So Super Mario 64 was a trendsetter. It was a trailblazer. It did things no other game did before. It was the first big, prominent 3D platforming game.
But Carlos, he said take nostalgia and significance out of it. If it was a game that came out now, if you had never played Mario 64 and you played it now, would you still say this game is fucking amazing? That's what he's trying to ask.
But you can't take that context away from that.
But that's where his question is. So you're trying to say you can't take it. That's what you're saying, right?
What? No, like there's aspects of the game. For example, the Mario gaming mechanics are the same now as they were back then. Like the way you jump, the way you jump and then you do like the butt stomp, the triple jump, the way you move, everything is the way you climb trees. Everything was laid to the ground in Mario 64. All of that has carried on until this latest recent Super Mario freaking Odyssey game. Like, think about it. All of these games, Sunshine, Galaxy 2, Odyssey, all of these games are Super Mario 64 with a coat of polish and a brand new gaming mechanic added to it. That's all it is. So like rose tinted glasses, this is the game that started everything off. Like you can't really like for example, we have a conversation about BioShock, how Tony doesn't really like it because he played it like 5 years too late. Like you can't get rid of the experience that me and, for example, Brett had. We played it the day it came, like when it came out or close to when it came out.
I did too.
It was good. Yeah, and I did too. Like and you can't get rid of that experience that we had when playing upon it. Like it's really hard to get rid of the quantifying aspects the game did and how it revolutionized the gaming industry when it came out. The game does have its flaws. It's I mean, if you compare it graphically to today, it's gonna look shitty. Of course, it's an N64 game. How would you expect a game to look 20 years from now that's out right now? It's not going to look as good, especially since this is the first platform that did 3D games.
But it's not even just looking good; it's like playing good. Now that you've played 3D platformers that have done what that game did, but better, and have revolutionized the whole thing. Like if I go play Ratchet and Clank, right? Mm-hmm. Like I feel like that's fine, but if I go play Mario 64, I'm like, he's slipping everywhere. This is clunky and whatever. Like that's part of this. It didn't age well, right? Whereas you have things that are polished, that do. But if you go further back to like Tony was saying, if I popped in Super Mario World right now, I would have a great experience. Yeah. Right now, years later, no complaints of like, oh, it's clunky, because no 2D game that was like the pinnacle. No 2D game is really surpassed that. Like they have different mechanics. He doesn't have a gun. Some have guns. Some have maps. Like whatever. But in terms of the platforming, whatever, that game peaked, right? So nothing is outdoing it. So
No, yeah,
I
for
put
sure.
that in now. I have a good experience. But 64, I put it in now. I'm not gonna have a good experience. Not after playing Galaxy and Odyssey or what. You're gonna be like, no, it didn't age well.
No, yeah, I'm not saying. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that objectively 64 is better than Odyssey. I'm not saying that at all. Like what I'm saying is the game was a trendsetter. Like I can't get rid of the experience that I had when I played it in 1996 when I freaking got that shit for Christmas. Like
Yeah, but has it aged well? That's kind of the harder question because
no, it's not a hard question.
It is the part of the question though. It says
I said it's not. It's not the hard part of the question. The easy answer is no. Mario 64 is not objectively better than Mario Odyssey, and I think that's what you want to hear. So there it is. But at the same time, like you're comparing Ken Griffey Jr. to Babe Ruth. Like, yes, Babe Ruth was one of the greatest baseball players, asterisk, of his time. You compare him to Ken Griffey Jr. or some of the more modern players, like no, like he's like, and people joke about like, yeah, he was in the fucking Hall of Fame before you let black people in to play baseball. Whoop-de-fucking-do, you deserve an asterisk. But that doesn't mean that people back in the day didn't go to the baseball stadiums and Babe Ruth wasn't the biggest fucking thing at the time. It doesn't mean that people didn't get interested in baseball because of Babe Ruth. It doesn't mean that some of these major league players that beat out his records weren't inspired and got into baseball because of Babe Ruth. You cannot take the history and the context out of something. Otherwise, you're left with an impossibly flimsy excuse, possibly flimsy argument, which is where you get us sounding like, well, here's all these things you have to take into account. It sounds like we're running around backwards trying to say that it's not a better game. Look, Mario Odyssey is a better game than 64, but that's because it built on the back of 64. And so, yes, we are saying the first part, but you can't say that first part without saying the second part, because Odyssey would not be Odyssey if 64 weren't a thing. You're trying to skip rungs in a ladder, and you can't do that. You can't skip the invention of electricity and jump straight to transistors. Like it's one begets the other. It's we've been building on the backs of greatness.
No, that's not a good analogy, because transistors is just a conductor, or something to conduct electricity. If you said I generate electricity with burning coal versus, well, now we have nuclear power, right? That's electricity. That's a stepping stone, right? That's an equivalence.
Okay.
So when I could say, for me, right, I would rather play Super Mario World than New Super Mario Brothers Wii U, because that game feels soulless and Super Mario World feels more alive to me, right? And even if that's just an opinion, I could still say that older game, which is a 2D platformer, is better than this way newer game. There's also a 2D platformer with Mario. So I can't say that. And I can't say like, okay, Super Mario 64, it doesn't translate that this is better. I could say, uh, you know, that Galaxy was like the superior 3D Mario up until now, right? Skip over 3D Land and 3D. I could say like, well, no, I think Galaxy was superior to those games, right?
But isn't that discrepancy because we automatically are inclined to believe that every iteration past the original should be better than the original? So in your case for Super Mario for the Wii, when it goes backwards, we tend to get really upset. But when it moves forwards, we tend to give the old games a pass because it should be moving forwards.
Well, no, there's different metrics. Like, I think Galaxy is a better game than Super Mario 3D World, because Galaxy still had a challenge. In 3D World, if you wanted to put on a cat suit and freaking leap across the level in 10 seconds, you can. And I think that's a cheat. And I think the game is inferior because of it, even though it is technically, mechanic-wise and whatever, maybe a better game. I think it has things that bring it down, right? So that's different than, say, 64, where it's like every piece of it is clunky as shit now compared to what's come after it, and so it didn't age well. Whereas you put a Super Nintendo, you put Super Mario World in, you put a controller in your hand, and that thing is seamless. It plays as good as you remember it. And the controls are tight and everything is good. There's nothing that come after it that's like, wow, this feels horrible now. But 64, I would say, yeah, no. If you put this in my hand, I'm like, he's slipping everywhere. It's all, what is this bullshit?
Wasn't that the only Mario that didn't innovate?
Yeah, New Super Mario Wii U. That didn't innovate. The bubble shit came from Yoshi's Island, and they just took things from other games and put this soulless crap together. I didn't like that game.
But the discussion here is not whether Super Mario World, like which is the better Mario game. Like he's specifically asking, are we wearing rose tinted glasses when we talk about Super Mario 64? And
actually, he's asking, why do people consider Super Mario 64 the best Super Mario game ever when it's obviously not the best one? You know, like you could say Odyssey is way better. So he's trying to say, how can, like, for example, how can you have Odyssey in the world and still say Mario 64 is the better game? That's what he's trying to say. You know.
I don't know. Like for me, my favorite Mario game is 64, but I would never say it's technically the best one.
Yeah, but again, the question is, why do people still consider it the best?
Because it innovated.
Okay, and that's a fair answer.
It took it out of the 2D dimension.
Yeah,
and also
it created. Okay.
Oh, I was gonna say the unspoken part at the end of that sentence is at the time.
Yeah, he doesn't say that.
100% of the time. Well, no, nobody says that, but that's what everybody means.
Yeah, but even today, though, some people are saying, "Oh, Mario 64 is still the best Mario game of all time." It's like,
I mean, because someone could say Doom is better, like original Doom is better than the Doom that came out not too long ago, and I wouldn't be mad at them. I wouldn't say
I wouldn't either. That Doom is still very playable today. You know.
Yeah.
Which one though?
The first one, the first Doom.
I don't know. It plays like shit though.
Nah, man, because I played that last. I played that because I played the new Doom. And I was like, man, I want to play more Doom. So I popped in the old Doom. I'm like, damn, this shit still holds up.
Wait, you popped in where?
On my PC.
You had the dock version?
My PC.
The original Doom. What are you like? What is with this?
The original Doom that was a mini game in the regular Doom.
Yeah.
Oh my god, come the fuck on.
What? The game's fucking awesome. I play that shit.
Dude, it is fun, but you cannot tell me that the mini game within the new Doom game, or not the new
Brett, I'm talking about Doom that came out in 1993.
Dude, I know, and I'm telling you, the dream sequences in the Doom before the one that we just got, those were an Easter egg. You got to jump in and play those old levels in dream sequences.
Yeah.
Wait, wasn't that Wolfenstein?
What are we talking? You guys don't understand. Okay, there was a game that
No, it was Wolfenstein. It was Wolfenstein. My bad.
Yeah,
my bad.
Dreams. Yeah, you could go to sleep and dream and play the original.
Yeah, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the original Doom. How is this so hard to understand? There was a game that it came out with on PC called Doom in 1993.
I was getting Doom and
yeah,
no, I know.
Wolfenstein.
Okay. I played both the shit. I played them both like a motherfucker at the same time. Give me a fucking break.
Wolfenstein. I'm with you on that one. The original Wolfenstein. That's a tough game to play. Doom still very much playable. Still a lot of fun. You know.
But you don't think New Doom is better?
Huh? Is it objectively better? Of course, it's objectively better. No, I'm not saying the old one is better. I'm saying the old one is still playable. Unlike Mario 64, which is unplayable as shit. That's what I'm trying to say. You know, hell, Mario 64 was unplayable like 3 years after it came out. I remember playing that shit. Like, what the fuck
Mario
is
64 was like one of the first true 3D
Mario
games.
64 was shit, bro. Compared to Tomb Raider, I came out the same year. Tomb Raider was way fucking better than Mario 64.
Completely different games.
No, really? They're both 3D big games. What are you talking about?
One is a platformer.
You know?
I played.
They're both platformers. What are you talking about?
I played Mario 64 like 3 years ago, and it's still playable. It still plays.
Man, I probably played shit 3 years after it came out. I'm like,
yeah, but you didn't play Mario 64. Like, you didn't have a 64.
You don't. Am I not speaking English tonight? I played Mario 64 3 years after it came out, and it was unplayable at that point.
3 years after it came out. That's what we're focusing on.
No, but
you played it 3 years after it came out.
You're missing the point. It proves what Chris and G Megaforce said. The game didn't age. It didn't age well. And I tried to play it again like maybe 10 years afterwards. Oh my fucking god! I played from like, no, I can't touch this shit. It's impossible to play that shit. Unlike Mario,
we're
Mario
not talking
World,
about aging well though.
Yes, he asked the question, dude.
No, he asked the question. What is objectively better? And we're proposing the fact that you cannot.
Dude, the guy said right here, the game has not aged very well at all. He said it, man. Read the fucking question.
I disagree that the game didn't age well.
The game didn't age well. The shit didn't age well 3 years afterwards.
graphically didn't age well. Some of the what's it called? fucking cam shit, the shit that follows you, the fucking camera, whatever.
Yeah,
that shit didn't age well. Some like the gameplay is not. It's more like Chris said. It's more slippery. It's not as tight as it is now, but the game definitely holds well. Like the levels are still good. Like I don't know, man.
Oh yeah, game design, sure, I'll give you that. But my point is, if the game it didn't age well 3 years after it came out, that means it didn't age well. Period. That's what I'm trying to get at. You know.
And our counterpoint is it didn't age well due to technical limitations, and those are inseparable from quantifying the game how it is. So to a certain extent, yes, we are saying that it, quote unquote, I guess it's not nostalgia that gives something a pass. It's that you have to look at it in the context of when it was released. And sometimes that can be a very blurry edge, because we are looking at it in the context of when it was released, which is also our past, and viewing the past favorably is nostalgia. But that's not the point, and that's not why it gets the pass. Mario doesn't get the pass because we loved it so much when it first came out. Mario gets a pass because it was objectively revolutionary when it came out. And all of those good things other games took and did after that. So much like BioShock, you thought it was trash when it came out because everything that was good about it had already had a chance to be recycled into new games.
Oh, no, I love how things get twisted. I didn't say the game was trash. I said I didn't know what the big was. Mechanically speaking, BioShock was a good game. I enjoyed walking around the world and shooting shit. I just didn't understand what the fucking big deal about it was. But you know, that's because
I'm not twisting your words. No, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah, but I didn't think it was trash. I didn't think the game was trash.
I don't think you think it was trash.
You just said that, but anyway, go ahead.
Did I say you thought it was trash?
You did.
Oh, my bad. I didn't mean that. I mean, you weren't a huge fan of it because everything that was new when we played BioShock was not new to you because somebody else had played BioShock with, that's a good idea, and put that in your game and into another game, and then you played that game. So you are playing a different iteration of the same idea. It's like if you saw somebody do the whole like I am your father thing before Star Wars, even though Star Wars came out first and they were ripping off Star Wars, you may be like, okay, well, that's not a huge fucking twist. I've seen that before. But no, when Star Wars first came out, in that context, that was a pretty heavy plot twist that has been just beaten like a dead horse since then. But if you're looking at Star Wars, you can't compare it to newer movies that have since used a lot of its tropes. Like you can't take like the whole like sci-fi fantasy thing like oh well that's been done before. Like well, Star Wars was the first movie to really do that, to marry those elements, and that's what made it revolutionary. We wouldn't have the new Thor Ragnarok if we didn't have the Star Wars movies. So you have to look at these things in context. So it's not nostalgia that makes us look at these things this way. It's context. Carlos, am I speaking truth here?
Yeah, because like let me just say this will be my last thing.
Yeah, then we can move on.
Mario 64. You know why Mario 64 held up? Because we're playing it right now in Mario Odyssey. Mario Odyssey is Mario 64 with tighter mechanics, a better camera, and better graphics, and added like some added features, and that's it. That's it. The way you control Mario, the stars are replaced by moons. The fucking story is exactly the same. Everything is the same. So I don't get what people like are saying that Mario 64 didn't hold up. Mario 64 is just getting reiterated with a twist every single time it comes out.
But they're talking about the original one, not the new one, bro. They're talking about the original one.
People to this day are still doing challenge runs on the original Mario 64.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, they're still playing it. Yeah, for sure.
It is still competitive.
And I was gonna
go ahead.
Oh, and I was gonna also mention that like freaking GoldenEye 007 doesn't hold up according to like the same skeptics.
No, it doesn't. That shit was bad back then too with the fucking controls.
What?
You know, yeah, that thing was unplayable. It was like you had to do all this shit.
Yo, man, GoldenEye 007 was the shit. Everyone was on that shit.
Yeah, I know that. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you guys? This game sucks.
It was revolutionary.
That's it, Tony. Get out.
Yeah, I'm the host. Later, cut off, throw down. Anyway, come on. Let's move on. Let's move on, man.
Well, but like, let me just finish the sentence real quick.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of aspects that don't hold up from that game, but it still is revolutionary and it's still innovated as much. That's why I could still consider that game the best in the series.
All right, go back and play it now. Let me know how it held up. Go ahead, Chris.
All right, Tony, what's your favorite Metal Gear game?
My favorite Metal Gear game? Metal Gear Solid. Really, Brett? You've known me for like 5 years. You gotta ask me that.
Is it the latest one?
No, of course not. It's 3, man.
And is that because of nostalgia?
No, because it's a better game. That's why. It had a better story.
Metal Gear Solid didn't hold up.
Metal Gear, that's debatable, you know.
Yeah, it's shitty. I don't know why people want to play that shit.
Yeah, he's trolling right now. People don't listen to him. Anyway, let's move on here. By the way, I think you guys are like not understanding the fact that, like, for me personally, yes, I understand where Mario's coming from. I just think it's getting too hyped up. The old one is not that good, you know. But the problem was the Nintendo 64 itself was a shit console. The controller sucked, graphics sucked. It was just shit, you know.
Well, Tony, look at it this way. It's not a question of was it or is it that good. It's a question of was it that good.
Oh yeah, back then, you know, I can't take that away from it. I personally didn't think it was that good back then, but I understand why people would say that. I'm just saying the shit didn't hold up. Now, the way Super Mario World held up, has completely held up.
Okay, so let me ask you this: if the question were changed to "Does it hold up?" or "Did it hold up?" not "Does it hold up?"
What's
then
the difference?
The question of did it hold up at the time? Was it a good game at the time?
Oh yeah, that's different. Yeah, you know, obviously in the time it was good, but now did it hold up in 2017? You know.
Okay, and now the sub question of was it good then becomes, do I only remember it being good then because of nostalgia, or was it actually good then? That should be the question that we're addressing. That's the whole point Carlos and I are making, is you can't take the context out of it. You can't take the age into account.
But I'm not saying you shouldn't take it. I agree with you that you can't take the context out of it, but I think, you know, I think we're answering the same question from two different roads. You guys are coming at it from like, hey, this thing innovated back in the day and that's valid. Me and Chris are saying, hey, this shit doesn't hold up anymore. You know,
and both points are valid, but, but the point that I want to make is nobody here is saying that any of that has to do with nostalgia.
Yeah, no, it has nothing to do with nostalgia.
Whether or not the game was good when it came out. And so when the question is dealing with, do these games get a pass because of nostalgia, we're all arguing no for different reasons, is the only point that I'm making. Nobody here thinks the games hold up because of nostalgia. They hold up in context from when they were released, or by some people, how they hold up now, or that kind of thing. But it's not nostalgia that gives it the pass, I don't think. It's context.
I don't think so either. For you know, for the most part. I know some people do, but for the most part, you know. Anyway, let's move on to the next question here. Another Nintendo question. And this is a weird one, so let me finish this one, because I never even heard of this before. Why do people think Mario hates Luigi? The whole point of the first Yoshi's Island game is that Mario, who got picked up by the Yoshis, goes all the way to Bowser's castle with the help of said Yoshis to defeat Baby Bowser and rescue Luigi. That's right. Chronologically, before Daisy, Pauline, and Peach, Luigi was the first character Mario rescued. Now, my question is, people thought Mario hated Luigi since when?
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that. I saw that movie. They were chilling. They were good in that movie. No, in all honesty, again, I don't really frequent Nintendo forums. I don't really talk to Nintendo heads like that. Is this a thing? Because this is the first time I'm hearing about it.
Really?
Yeah. So again, Brett, you're a Nintendo guy. You know, is this a thing?
Am I?
You are. You're the de facto Nintendo guy. You and Carlos. You know.
Oh God. Okay.
No, but seriously, I'm asking: is this the thing? I'm reading the question for something like
it's
really?
It's a subtle thing that's slowly okay. So I want to say my first interaction with it was Super Mario RPG, where they kind of introduced Luigi to be a little bit of a doofus, and I want to say Luigi's Mansion kind of backs this up. Like, he's the doofier brother. He's the brother that you as the audience kind of laugh at. If they were a comedy duo, Mario would be the straight man and Luigi would be kind of the goofy, klutzy brother. And I think what has happened is, because he's portrayed that way to the audience most of the time, that because Mario stays silent, people assume that their viewpoint of Luigi is also Mario's viewpoint of Luigi. So to most players, Luigi is kind of a doof, a tag-along, a klutz, and generally not as successful at anything as Mario is, even though he jumps better and is taller. His adventures are just generally more misadventures than righting the wrongs of other people kind of thing. So it gives this general attitude of he's less competent than Mario.
He's portrayed that way in the movie also.
Yeah. So,
but is that why Mario would hate him? That's what I'm trying to understand.
It's not that Mario hates him. It's that you, the player, you are playing Mario and you hate Luigi. So your brain kind of makes the connection of, well, if I, the player, am playing Mario and think Luigi is a doofus, then Mario thinks Luigi is a doofus. And that's kind of, while it's not supported, it's definitely not refuted in a lot of games, like Mario RPG, where Luigi's kind of the butt of a lot of jokes.
Yeah, no, I mean, I understand that part, but again, I'm just not understanding the hatred part. Is Mario go, hey, fuck Luigi, man. You know?
The Luigi Mansion is awesome.
Let me put it to you this way. How do you think the other characters in Star Wars feel about Jar Jar Binks?
Yeah, they probably all hate him. You know?
But nowhere in the movie does it make any implication. In fact, it says otherwise in the movie, where everybody loves Jar Jar Binks in the movie. But you hate Jar Jar Binks, and so you can only think like, man, all these guys have to fucking hate this guy.
Okay, I guess I can understand that. Luigi, I like Luigi. Like you said, he jumps better. You know, he's taller. But yeah, Luigi always gets the bad like end of the stick, man.
Yeah, and then, like, people sometimes go like too far ahead, man. Like I even heard sometimes like that. Someone said, "Oh, the Mario like made Luigi get caught by Bowser so he could save him." And I'm like, "Wow, where'd you get that?"
Damn, people be coming up with shit, man. That's interesting. But yeah, this is the first time I'm hearing about this. Very interesting.
You know, Luigi's the butt of all the jokes.
Yeah, well, I knew that, but it's again the hatred part I didn't get. Anyway,
I'm in your boat. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Like, I honestly was like, wait, when did that happen? I was like, did I skip a game or
That's
something?
That's what I'm saying. What happened?
Yeah.
You know? Very interesting. But thank you for putting us on to that. Now I know. All right, moving on here to...
also, one more thing. Oh, he has no problem.
One more thing.
beating... But before we move on, he also has no problem throwing turtle shells at him or beating the fuck out of him in Smash Brothers.
Yes, that is true. Maybe that's where that hatred comes out, man.
They're like, well, I mean, clearly they're brothers, but he has no problem punching him in the face or wrecking his race car. So what? They can't be that close.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right, next up here, Mr. Antonio Suarez, 24Z. So his first question is, Naughty Dog is one of the most productive studios for Sony in the last 10 years, releasing 5 AAA games and 2 beefy DLC. What game does the panel wish Naughty Dog would make next? A little bit of a weird question there. You know what? Jack and Daxter, why not? That's not gonna happen. But I'm fucking around. I really, because the thing is, the question to me, I'm like, I don't know what they're working on, so I don't know what I would want them to come out with. All I'm saying, take a break from Uncharted for a while. That's all I'm gonna say.
Look at their strengths and see where they. Uncharted is really good, or Naughty Dog is really good at building a narrative and world building, right? So I would like, pretty much narrative is inconsequential unless you want to come up with like, I want to see them make a game about a snake charmer. Like, that part's probably not going to be the case, but the world is important. They're very good at setting up this kind of air of mystery, this slow reveal, this kind of intriguing storyline. Because of that, personally, I would like to see them make a cyberpunk game, kind of along the lines of Deus Ex, because I like the way that they slowly pull back to reveal the world. The Last of Us was a good example of, here's another faction, here's another bit to the puzzle. So I think suddenly finding myself in like this transhumanist 2500, I feel their narrative structure would be very good to like pull back of like maybe you wake up in like a post-apocalyptic cyberpunk Detroit and your memory's been wiped and you're slowly learning about all the different factions, all the different gangs, all the different corrupt police things while making your way through this really beautiful game, which is what they're good at, beautiful environments and good storytelling in those environments. So yeah, cyberpunk game.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the other side of that. Yeah, definitely a sci-fi game. I don't care if it's set on Earth, aliens, whatever. Weren't they supposed to be working on? Wasn't that a rumor they're working on a sci-fi game? But yeah, sci-fi game from Naughty Dog would be fucking insane. And maybe it'll give us the Mass Effect we want. You know, because we ain't getting no Mass Effect anymore. Let's just be honest. Definitely a sci-fi game. Crazy ass sci-fi too. You know, fucking aliens, wars, all that shit. That'd be amazing. You know. Yeah, go ahead, Carlos, since you're already talking.
The first thing that comes into my mind when thinking of Naughty Dog is like those Uncharted set pieces.
Yeah.
And I think like where would those set pieces work like really good at? Then I was like thinking like what if they just took over the BioShock franchise somehow?
I can see that happening, yeah.
That'd be pretty crazy because are they even making 2K making BioShock anymore?
Not that I know of. I think that's on ice right now too, to be honest.
Yeah,
I don't know if BioWare can make Bioshock anymore.
Oh no, BioWare never made.
BioWare never made them. Yeah.
Well, who the fuck else was in it besides 2K?
What's his fake? Ken Levine.
Yeah, it was 2K. So it was
Yeah.
like 2K, and then that other like 2K studio they made like two.
What was the name of it? Radical Entertainment or
What?
something like that?
Was it 2K that made
Well,
System
no,
Shock?
Wasn't Irrational?
Irrational. There you go. Irrational Games. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's who I'm thinking of. I don't think they could make a new Bioshock. Something about Bioshock, like even Bioshock 3 was not that great. I mean, it was good, but it wasn't Bioshock. And Bioshock 2 was the letdown of the series for me.
I think everybody says that, to be honest.
Well, and that's 2K games right there.
That's still Irrational, though. I know you're right. That was 2K. Irrational had nothing to do with that. Correct me if I'm wrong on that.
No, that's
was
exactly it.
Yeah.
2K Marin was Bioshock 2.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, the side studio.
Yeah.
You know, Chris, what about you? What kind of game do you want Naughty Dog to do?
Well, I find interesting because I was thinking the same thing with Carlos and the set pieces and stuff on how Uncharted plays. Yo, guys, you got a golden opportunity. Take the remnants of 1313 and give it to them.
Yes.
Because that would be perfect with all the like crazy shit happening and Sons of going through, and taking the cover mechanics and stuff. That's perfect.
They
See,
got
dude,
the third person down pat too.
Yeah, that's right.
That's exactly the reasoning I was thinking, but I went Shadowrun with it.
Yeah, Shadowrun would be cool.
Now, what about you, Adam? What kind of game you want Naughty Dog to make?
Oh, damn.
Table tennis.
Yeah.
World War II game, man. World War II shooting game.
No, not World War II. I don't know. I mean, everything I'm thinking is just story-based because they're so good at making great story-based games. So maybe bring back well, it'll never happen, but if Rockstar gave them rights to do the Warriors, and they did the story of the Warrior, really in-depth story.
They already made a Warrior game.
Yeah, the Rockstar did, but that was more of like a
He wants
fighter.
Naughty Dog to do it.
I want a story with it. Yeah,
I didn't think the Warrior movie had that much of a story to it.
Oh, it did. It did. The book also, everything. It was great.
I never read the book, but the story just kind of seemed to be like, okay, so Rebel Games.
It's pretty much.
Wasn't it is essentially the Odyssey?
300.
It's essentially the
300.
Odyssey. Yeah.
No, it's 300. It's the whole thing of the Last Stand. And this is.
I thought the story is we got to
last
make it
group.
back to Brooklyn. Wasn't it like there was Coney Island or whatever?
Well, they were making it back, but then there was only them. For some reason they couldn't reach out to everybody else, so they had all these gangs that were hunting them down as they were trying to get back to Brooklyn from the Bronx, which, as you know, is a long trip. So somebody said that. You never seen the movie?
No, I saw it when I was a kid. It was a long time ago, but I remember it was compared to the Odyssey, where you go on this crazy ass journey and shit, perilous and all that.
See, I always thought the Warrior should be done in like a Manhunt style game.
That'd be cool.
Well, yeah.
But it's weird. That would be back to Rockstar because they made both those games.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I think the Odyssey is more apt because they're trying to make it back home, just like Odysseus.
Yeah, the Odyssey is.
But he had said, if you watch the director's cut, he refers to it as if it was like the Spartans making their last stand and heading back, and the story of that.
The Spartans didn't head back though; they stayed in that one spot.
I know they stayed back, but they were the last group before they got taken over. Like they were the last line, and that's what was going on here. It's like you had the Rifts and all the other gangs that were hunting them down. And then they meet up with them on the beach, and they're like, "All right, this is it. You're still hunting me?" And they're like, "No." You gotta watch it. It's good.
Yeah, it's been. I was thinking watching it since I was a kid, bro.
Yeah, I watch it at least once or twice a year.
Damn. All right. Okay, we're not officially answering this one because we answered it before, but Aljira, he wanted us to. He's asking, considering how good the PS4 is still selling, do you think it'll reach 100 million lifetime sales? All of us except Brett said no. I remember that. So go back to that episode and check that out. All right, so let's move on here to Digital Tiger. So he asked, Xbox. Oh, by the way, just so you know, every time I say Xbox One, that's because I had to edit it from Xbone as he wrote it. Okay, Xbox One.
What's wrong with Xbone?
It's it's a very derogatory term.
It's their own abbreviation. If you write it down, that's what it says. That's not my fault.
Yeah, that is true. Anyway, Xbox One X is more than a mid-gen refresh. It low-key starts a next generation. Otherwise, it would have matched the specs of PS4 Pro. It's And again, guys, let me finish the question. It's an anti-consumer machine that mainly forces Xbox to purchase a system that finally has the minimum specs of what the vanilla Xbox should have launched with. What are your thoughts? And he goes, and please don't cop out and dismiss me as a Sony fanboy. Dude, okay, do you think the PS4 Pro is anti-consumer? Because if you think the Xbox One X is anti-consumer, which it isn't, you have to think that PS4 Pro is. And also, no one is forcing anybody to buy this shit. You could buy it or you don't have to buy it. That's a choice.
Did you say Xbox One X or S?
X gonna give it to you. You know, the $500 6 teraflop. No. Okay. I guess I have to read the question again. So he's basically asking, he thinks the new Xbox that just came out on Tuesday is anti-consumer. That's what he's saying. Because it should have been the console that launched 3 years ago. I can't go along with that. But
what, I guess to add to that though, a dev did come out and say, oh, well, we've always had this in mind. We had this in mind even when we were working on the Xbox One before that launched. So that kind of hurt to hear that, because it's like, well, then why did you wait? You know, like, why did you do that if you were going to charge $500 anyway?
Yeah.
I don't know.
So yeah, no, it's not. But again, the anti-consumer part, that's ridiculous, bro.
No,
it's not anti-consumer.
It's
People have a
just
choice, you know.
No, if you released the Xbox X in 2013, that shit would have been over $1,000.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think we need to add anything more to that one. It's not anti-consumer. Bro.
I have one to add. I think the Xbox One S is bullshit. I think that the fact that they went back and changed what is considered their baseline system is kind of bullshit. That's mildly anti-consumer, if you ask me.
Is it, or is it just giving gamers what they want? Because remember, the original Xbox One was billed as like the everything system, the one, and the S is basically, here's the fucking video game console, and it's cheap, you know?
It ends up fucking over early adopters, and no matter how you get to that place, I don't think that's ever a good thing. You are essentially giving the finger to the people who supported you day one.
But can't you say that about any piece of technology that comes out with an iterative one? That's like, do you think Apple is screwing over the people who bought the original iPhone like 10 years ago?
No. I just think the fact that they kind of bill it as like, here's the standard system, which kind of implies that the original Xbox One is on life support or being put out to pasture soon, or like it's an inadequate or inferior system, that the Xbox One S is their baseline model.
But isn't it inferior though? We've covered it many times. How
no, Xbox, I know, and that's what I'm saying. Like, they should be billing it as a mid-tier model and not completely fucking abandoning, at least publicly, the original Xbox One.
Oh, they're not though.
It seems to me like, from the way that they talk, like you have multiple options. You have your Xbox One S, and then your Xbox One X, and then your Project Scorpio. It's like, yeah. What about the original Xbox One?
So let me ask you this: do you think the PlayStation 4 Slim is anti-consumer? Because it's essentially what the S is. You know, it's a redesign of the original system, cheaper. You know, do you think that fucked over the original adopters?
But it's not more powerful.
No, it's the exact same thing.
And that's the
S is no. The S is not more powerful. The S is just as powerful as the original. The S is just
I thought it had a slight boost.
It only plays Blu-ray movies, but that's about it.
There is a slight boost, but that was already there. They just, when they took off the Kinect, so it has full power of that. But
it's not it's not like from the base console to the X. It's not like that. You know,
I didn't think it was. I just thought that there was I thought that they basically ended up releasing a slightly more powerful, streamlined, less buggy version of the console for a cheaper price, which basically rendered the original version bulkier, less quality, and more expensive.
Yeah, no.
Okay, my mistake. Eat my crow now.
That's all right. But the original one is bulkier. you got that right. I still have it too, the big monster. But hey,
I swear I read somewhere that the S had a boost, but
yeah, it does in the power supply, like Adam said it, but it's very minimal. It's not going to be like night and day type of shit,
Yeah. Because also, what was it? The head of Coalition, when he was talking about gears.
Oh, Richard?
Yeah, Richard. And he was like, oh, it's going to run better on it. And people were like, what do you mean? I thought it was the same. And they were like, well, it does have a little more kick, but that was already there in the Xbox One. It's just now that it doesn't have the Kinect, then it can use all that power. That's pretty much it. They had to redesign the whole board according to them, taking out the Kinect, which is why
the GPU only jumps from 1.3 to 1.4 teraflops, so it's a power increase, but not a significant one.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, man. Let's move on. By the way, Hashlingen, he's saying that his questions aren't in the in the list. You probably submitted them too late.
I'm right. The small CPU clock upgrade combined with the HDMI 2.0 support means that it now supports 4K upscaling and has support for high dynamic range, which the original Xbox doesn't.
Yeah.
So it is a better console for cheaper.
No, you're 100% right. But if you don't have a 4K TV, that HDR is not really going to mean much to you.
It doesn't matter. It's a better console for cheaper. The Slim does not fit that qualification. It is not it did not render the previous version moot, and this version of Xbox render the Xbox One S renders the original Xbox One negatable. It's why would you buy an original Xbox One when you could buy an Xbox One?
You can't buy an original Xbox One. They completely discontinued that.
And that's my that's my point. They put out the thing that was the original product they put out. They put it out to pasture and said this is the new standard, and it does things that the early adopters can't do. Yeah, that is a dick move.
I mean, but that's every industry. That I have the iPhone 7, which I got last year, and now I don't have the Face ID shit that the iPhone X has.
No, but the iPhone 8 is going to be more expensive than the iPhone 7.
No, the iPhone X.
X gonna give it to you.
Wait, what now?
The iPhone 10 doesn't has the Face ID, but my 7 doesn't.
Yeah, I know, but the iPhone X isn't cheaper than the 7.
And that came out months after my. That came out. Go ahead.
No, I know what you're saying. So if you want a cheap iPhone, you can buy an iPhone 7, and if you want a good iPhone, you buy an iPhone X. That's normal.
But that's you're comparing something that came out 3 years after the original. It's you can't really say that it's anti-consumer because it got minusculely better because after 3 years time. You'd expect to have some improvements
because they added upgrades, and they pretty much retired the original Xbox One.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, you know what you bought the original Xbox One for, and does it not do something that you didn't buy it for? They didn't promise you HDR when you bought it.
Yeah, that's right.
You got what you bought. TV, and a Connect.
Yeah, quick shout out to Black Metal Gamer giving us some monies. But yeah, right about that. You can't be hey, no one even I'm pretty sure some people did, but most gamers didn't know what the fuck HDR was back in 2013.
Right. Because the PlayStation 4 didn't do it back then either.
They didn't do it either.
But PlayStation's never done that.
It does now.
It's doing it now.
What is it doing now?
HDR.
Yeah.
HDR is the only new feature that the S has. Understand?
But does it have upscaling?
Does
it have a CPU boost?
Not really.
Well, I think it might have a CPU boost,
but not significant. It's not like the X,
But it's you're picking at straws here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Maybe I am. I don't like the fact that you get to the point where I paid more for this product that is now cheaper.
But that's how early adoption goes, bro. You know that.
Yeah.
It hasn't worked that way with any of my other systems ever.
Really? What? So you're telling me that the PS3 never got a cheaper edition? The PS2 didn't get a cheaper edition? Come on, they all do, man.
I don't think there was at any point in which I could pick up a PlayStation Slim of any sort that had more power than the original
But the
PlayStation
power is
and cost
negligible.
less.
It's not. It's like Carl said. You're kind of picking at straws here. The power is not that much. It's not a quantum leap. Understand?
When,
It's just
it's
minimum.
enough to allow for upscaling, it seems to be.
Upscaling movies, though, man, not fucking video games. That's a different story. You know?
Yeah, because at the end of the day, your TV can upscale everything
Yeah.
to 4K if it's a 4K TV.
Uh,
Like upscaling in that terms, it's really trivial.
Exactly.
so it's just TV. It's not upscaling video games
Nope,
at all.
it's not upscaling games.
It's not rendering games at a higher
Yeah,
resolution
there you go.
Than the other systems. It's
Well,
like
I didn't think it would be rendering. I just think it'd be outputting. But okay, all
Yeah.
right. It's less. It's fairly inconsequential. Still dick move in my book, but
So yeah. So when so you know what? I'll stop it. Because I'll ask you after the show because we got to move on here. Where the fuck am I right now? Okay, for the next Grand Theft Auto, where would you like the next setting to be, and what time period, or which previous Rockstar title deserves a new game? Dude, we're only gonna answer one of those. Let's stick with the GTA one. I said this because we already had Los Angeles or Los Santos get a boost. We already had Liberty City get a boost. Go back to Vice City, give that shit a boost too. Let's complete the thing, you know, but set it in modern times, you know. That would be pretty interesting, like Miami now. But I want to see that city get a boost because Liberty City and San Andreas already got a boost, so I want to see that shit. But other than that, Chicago, their version of Chicago would be kind of cool, you know. I think they already had one in game. I just don't know what the name of it, you know, like a crime-ridden city for sure, you know. But I'm kind of, me personally, done with the whole let's go back in time thing. It's like let's just keep moving forward, man.
really,
Yeah,
Go to Europe.
yeah, we already got the best one with GTA Vice City. It's like, okay, we're good, you know.
is that the best though?
Hell, I mean, no, it's not the best, but me personally, that's my favorite. You know?
No. I don't mean that. I mean, is that the best time period? Like, the 80s were great, and they were an awesome time to set a video game. But you don't think you could have some fun with the 50s or the 70s?
The 70s,
yeah,
the 70s maybe, but you know, I'm talking about, you know, me, I'm an 80s guy. I love the fucking 80s.
Dude, I love the 80s
yeah.
too, but the 70s are full of so
I
much
love
classic
the
rock.
80s. Well, that's the reason I'm going with the 80s because I like music in the 80s more than the 70s. That's why, like
Yeah.
any
You could
radio
make
station,
a great
any.
GTA game in the 70s.
I think
though.
no, I agree with you. I'm just saying I personally don't need to go back in time, but you could totally do one in the 70s.
But
you know,
they already. The only reason I'm arguing the 70s is because I agree with you. The 80s are better, but they already did the 80s. I would
Yeah.
not mind seeing a 70s.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
I'd like to see some of the cars. I'd like to hear some of the classic rock. I think
Yeah.
some of the fashion could be kind of cool.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that one. You know what? Let me amend that. If you have to go back in time, I'm going to go with the 70s. 50s is a little too much. 70s would be good. A lot of grit back then, you know?
Oh, but 50s has hot rods and like gangsters and
Yeah,
God, like
50s would be good. Like Mafia, like what Mafia 2 did.
Yeah. Go ahead. What do you guys say? Jump in here, man. Next GTA.
I don't know. I'm kind of biased towards my decision. I kind of wish it was based on where I live.
El Paso.
El Paso and Juarez. It's like the Mexican border city. Like I think El Paso and Juarez are like the biggest binational community in the Western Hemisphere. So I think it'd be interesting to have like those two different places, and you can have missions where you start like in El Paso and you have to cross the border to
That'd be
get
dope.
to Juarez to like do something else and stuff like that, or you have to like smuggle in people into the country. I see like a lot of different opportunities there, like for like different missions and stuff. I think it would be really interesting. Plus, I'd be like, yo, I've been there.
Yeah. Chris.
I agree with you on Vice City. I'd say the only other place I'd put it is the fictional Las Vegas they made up, Las Venturas.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like
I would
expand
like to
that.
see
That'd be
I'd expand
insane.
it. Yeah. I think
Adam.
it'd be cool.
Yeah, what about you, man?
Europe, somewhere in Europe.
Oh, Europe. Just take it out of America
Yeah.
entirely. Okay.
Yeah, take it out. Go to England. You know, do something there during the 70s or the 60s.
Well, they did that already.
Oi, oi.
kinda. On PS1, they had GTA London 1969. They already did that.
oh, that's right, they did.
Bring it back.
See, I'm gonna add on to mine and say Detroit in the 70s. Do a Motor City GTA.
Ooh, that'd be insane, man. All right, let's move
Motor
on.
City.
Yeah, let's move on here. By the way, Hashling, we're going to answer your questions, but you threw a bomb in there, but I am not going to indulge it for too long because we've talked about it at length before. Oh, man. Who the fuck are we? Okay, Joel Torres. Do you guys think the lack of girls and women in video game commercials during the 90s is the reason the vast majority of video game players and developers are men? I have my answer, but I'll wait. Chris, get in here, man. What do you think about that question?
Well, I definitely think it discouraged a lot of women from pursuing careers in computer science and STEM stuff because, yeah, it was portrayed as this is for guys. So guys got into that stuff to make the games they saw and they played and they loved. So I would say that that probably was a big part of it. Not the only reason, but yeah, that definitely did affect it.
Yeah. For me, I think I might get in trouble for this. I'm just going to be honest, though.
Do you want me to translate first before you do?
Yes, because that'll probably save me from getting in trouble.
Okay, I don't know if this is what you're going to say.
Even though what I'm going to say is actually factually correct. But anyway, go ahead, Brett. Yeah.
I don't know if we're saying the same things, but I'll take a crack at it. I agree that that's part of it. I think that there's another part of it that there is a certain way that generally boys interact and girls interact and the things that they are stimulated by. And that's not just boys and girls, but men and women in general. And it's that men generally have and tend to have more response to quick visual cues. Things like Twitch gaming are, generally speaking, painting with very broad strokes, more appealing to young males than they are to young females. And the types of games that first came out, those quarter-munching games, tended to focus more towards that mentality. We could have very easily had games that were more narrative games, more choice-driven games, even more survival or simulation-type games that may have attracted more of a female audience. But because games started being geared towards something that guys generally have a little bit more biological leaning towards, it kept going in that vein and ended up snowballing. And what you're seeing now is all kinds of games being made for all kinds of people, which allows for all kinds of gamers. And you're going to see more and more women make their way in, but especially those early video games were made for young men because young men were a lot of the audience. And I don't think that was intentional as much of a byproduct of the way that the male brain and the female brain work. And just to be fair, I'm not saying that just the male brain reacts to quick imagery better and therefore it's superior. The female brain, this is science, is way better at picking out small, minute changes in a vast field of complexity. That's one of the reasons I always say, like, can't find your keys? Find a lady. They will be able to walk into a goddamn room and in 2 seconds be like, they're right there, dumbass. How did you not fucking see them? Our brains are wired slightly differently, and that just happened to key in a certain way when video games were being founded. Again, coincidence, because it wasn't like they were trying to make games for Twitch gamers. They were trying to make games that ate your quarters, and to beat that, you had to have fast Twitch reflexes. And while it's not that women can't play that, that interested less women and skewed the market for decades to come.
Yeah, that's a little bit more of an eloquent version of what I had to say. But I will add this, though. At least those early games, they were very much geared towards, male fantasies, right? Power fantasies specifically, right? And they knew that the audience was boys, so they kept going with that. It wasn't necessarily, like, if you go back to Pac-Man and stuff, Pac-Man is not for boys or girls, it's for everybody, right? But they saw that, hey, we have more males here. Let's keep making games towards them, So you had power fantasy type of games, all that. So yeah, those early games were definitely geared more towards males. But like Brett said, nowadays you have more narrative-driven games and all that. So now you're getting everybody. But yeah, if back then, yeah, no, I just like what you said because I never thought about that. If back then they would have geared games more towards girls, we probably would have had more of those narrative kind of games back then. You know what I'm saying? Even though there were, like technical limitations and stuff, but I agree. I think we're both saying the same thing from two different angles. It's like that's just Go ahead.
Another way I would put it is, and this is purely anecdotal. I know a ton of females who fucking love Tetris. They fucking love it. Rachel was one of those people, And that kind of goes towards, yes, you're dealing with colors and shapes and patterning. It's not necessarily a Twitch reaction based game, right?
Yeah.
Donkey Kong isn't a hugely gendered game, but you see a hugely gendered audience, or at least you used to. Not many girls really like Donkey Kong. The idea of quick timing and precision, or quick timing and precision and reflexes, was not as important or appealing to most of the girls as I knew as trivia or organization games or things like Tetris or point and click adventures. Like I knew lots of girl gamers, but they always tended to play more, and I hate to say it like this, Sims type of games where you have these complex overlays and possible building narratives and collection and organization and some of the minutia that you definitely find in a lot of games today, but not so much of the like, oh my god, there's something there. Oh my god, there's something there. Like Ninja Gaiden, like I did not know any girls that played Ninja Gaiden, and that was just again down to that Twitch reflex kind of thing. And so I don't think games were originally intended to be geared towards a male audience. They were intended to be hard in a certain way that ended up attracting a male audience. And then, as Tony said, they noticed that and then ran with that. I don't think there was any point in which somebody said, this is a boys club, let's try and put girls out. I think there was a certain point, though, that they said, we are clearly getting more male players. Perhaps we should pander towards that. And they did.
Think about it like this, right? The first two big popular games, right, that were that brought video gaming to the forefront. What were they? Pong and Pac-Man. Those are for everybody. They're not specifically for just one gender. So yeah, like,
they made Mrs. Pac-Man specifically to appeal to female gamers.
Yeah, exactly. But the point is, video games were not originally meant for males. It just became that way because they saw where the money was coming from. But now, obviously, since women are buying games, they're making more games for women. So they follow
Pac-Man is actually the perfect example.
Yeah.
Hold on, I want to pause on that. Pac-Man came out. They found more men playing Pac-Man than women. So they came out with Mrs. Pac-Man in an effort to change that, because they thought people might be saying like, well, it does say Pac-Man, maybe girls don't want to play it, so we'll do Mrs. Pac-Man. And still more guys were playing Mrs. Pac-Man than Pac-Man, and so they kind of went, okay, well, I guess it's just a dude thing then.
Yeah, that's true.
The best example I can think of.
I also need to point out that Miss Pac-Man is considered the better Pac-Man game.
It is a better Pac-Man game, and that's the thing.
It's
like,
faster.
Yeah.
Everybody jumped to Miss Pac-Man. It had nothing to do with like they're like, we'll make Miss Pac-Man and a bunch of girls will play it. No, all the guys just moved to Miss Pac-Man and no more girls started playing it. And then they were just like, well, all right, well we have an audience.
Yeah.
But again, like things like Pong and Tetris, things like that, like Monkey Island. I know a ton of ladies who fucking played the shit out of Monkey Island. I played the shit out of Monkey Island too. I'm not saying it's a lady game. I'm just saying, and I realize they're accepting the rules, but generally speaking, is anybody here going to disagree with me when they say that most girls they meet aren't really into the fast reaction Twitch gameplay?
There's some, yeah, but by and large, no. There's some though.
Yeah, majority.
Yeah,
the exception to the rule is what makes the rule. And I'm not saying that you should hold it, but here's the key, and I have to add this for the people out there who don't want to think about this or don't want to realize this. There's not a problem with noticing a pattern, but there is a problem with relying on or assuming that pattern when you meet people. So I'm not saying that there aren't girls out there who can't whoop the shit out of people in Call of Duty. I am saying that more than likely, if you hear about somebody ranking on the leaderboard, 9 times out of 10 they're going to be a guy. But it is not okay or respectful to assume that they're a guy. That's where the difference comes in right there. You're like, maybe. As I used to say when I worked at McDonald's, 9 times out of 10 when somebody comes through the drive-thru and orders chicken nuggets and orange drink, it's a black guy. The 10th time, it's me. You never fucking know.
Yeah, you never know, exactly. All right, anybody else want to jump in on this?
Nah.
All right, I'll take that as a no. So we'll move on. By the way, we're going to be a little bit nice to you guys. So, and if you guys in the panel here are okay with it, if we could go a little bit, if we go an extra half an hour tonight, because we do have a lot of questions, and they're really good. You guys cool with that? Adam, Chris?
Man, I got so much to do. But okay.
All right. Also, we have a lot of heads with us. Where the fuck are we right now? Okay, here we go. Second question. Okay, why do you guys think Hideki Kamiya games other than Resident Evil 2 sell like garbage, even though he is known as one of the best video game makers out there? I don't know if they sell like garbage, but they definitely don't set the world on fire. But the thing is, he's still he's still hailed because his games are good. Okami, Beautiful Joe, Bayonetta, Resident Evil 2. Correct, help me out with some of these games. But that's why, like, even though his games may not sell that much, the guy makes good games.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but they're definitely acquired taste. Like Nier, you play Nier. I don't know if I played if Manny didn't recommend it.
Yeah.
Or you guys, because I don't know. It just looks weird. I'm like, what's this?
Is that a Kamiya game? No.
Oh,
Nier is Yoko Taro. That's not
okay.
Hideki Kamiya. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not Hideki. And it doesn't even have the feel of it. Bayonetta is a Hideki Kamiya type of game.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Well, I'm not sure. I don't know. To be honest with you, but then again, how did Bayonetta sell against like Devil May Cry, like those original ones?
Yeah, I don't think it sold that well because again, it had to be on the fucking Wii U exactly.
Yo, Chris,
that tainted it. Yeah.
Hideki Kamiya didn't work on Nier, but he did work on another platinum game. It's called Scalebound.
Yeah, he did. Oh man, that's right.
Oh yeah, well yeah, we'll never see that game. We'll never know how that would have done, man.
I don't know.
That's.
I mean, I kind of hate the way people loosely toss around the legend or like that kind of status into people. Like, for example, a lot of people would consider David Jaffe a legend in the video game industry, and I would laugh at them. But it's like, if you have some notoriety within the industry, because a lot of these developers and these directors and stuff are not that visible to us. Like, rarely we have like a Kojima, which like everyone knows, or like a Ken Levine or a Todd Howard and stuff like that. So like whenever someone like knows the name of a certain like director and stuff, they kind of like idolize them. It's kind of like freaking Peter Molyneux. I'm pretty sure a lot of people consider him a legend. I wouldn't, even though I love Fable 2 and Fable 1.
Anybody else?
Yeah.
All right, we'll move on then. Nobody really wants to answer. It's a tough question to answer, to be fair. I'm losing my because we're getting more questions here. But they're kind of, we kind of have to answer these. Where the fuck am I right now? Okay.
I thought you closed off the questions.
No, I did, but they're actually kind of good, so I'll leave them. But okay, Black Metal Gamer. Here's an interesting one. I want Chris to answer this one first. When is the Switch's last year, and what will be its total lifetime sales? He says that he 2023 at 65 million.
Well, that's a tough one because I kind of chastised the Tokyo Wall Street Journal guy for making the
that's right. Now he's putting you in the same position, bruh.
Yeah. No, there's no way to know. Like I would venture a wild guess watch Throwdown in April of 2018 when I read that financial report for that year, and then I'll project for. But like, it's too difficult to know. I don't even know how to now. I don't know the current. Like how much Odyssey is pushing systems. I don't know what's really coming out in 2018 that's going to push this. I'm missing all sorts of data. Probably ended 2022, but I agreed with Adam when he said there'll probably be a revision of the Switch.
Yeah.
Between now and then.
Yeah,
so,
I guarantee that too.
Yeah, so that could be a game changer. Could not be. I don't know. Like there's so many factors, which is what I hit up the Tokyo Wall Street Journal guy. I'm like, how are you making these wild predictions? You don't know what the hell's gonna happen.
It's like, do you know when Pokemon's coming out for the Switch? Do you know when Brawl's coming out for the Switch?
Or Metro Prime, right? He got no idea. And then he said it was gonna push 23 million by the end of this fiscal year. I'm like, what are you smoking, man? You kidding me?
Give me some of that.
Yeah, that's good crack, bro.
Yeah. By the way, quickly, I do need to add this, and just to answer Adam's question. The reason I'm taking up these extra questions is because remember how last week the episode cut off, and then we have two parts. People were asking shit in both of them, and I only looked at one of them. Like, I don't want to be a dick and not answer these. Okay, and you know what? I'm gonna go with Chris's. 2023 65 million is actually not a bad guess, but it is too early to say right now. Very early to say. So, you know what? Let's leave that question for another time because it is way too fucking early to be speculating on that. All right. So, next question is, who are some of the biggest dicks in gaming as far as NPCs goes? Not journalists. By the way, and I also just remember that Manny submitted some of his answers. He picked the evil Nazi lady from Wolfenstein. He's like, she's a bitch.
Oh, from the new ones?
Yeah.
Did you play 2 Wolfenstein 2?
No, I'm about to play that. Not this week, 'cause I had other shit, but that's my next game I'm going to be playing.
Yeah, there's a part there that early on that shows. Yeah, she's the evil boss of the year.
Yeah. Oh, I know what you're talking about because somebody spoiled it for me on Twitter. It's like, yo, how are you going to be posting that on fucking Twitter? You know?
Yeah,
come on, man.
I'm actually surprised that didn't catch more uproar with all the PC shit going on these days.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. You're right about that. Anyway, who are the biggest dicks in video games? Like NPC characters.
I'll throw out Colonel Volgin.
Yeah.
If you watch the torture scene in Metal Gear Solid 3, man, he gave it to Big Boss, man. Gave it to him. And he lost an eye. That's spoilers if you haven't played the game yet, but too late. So that was brutal. Volgin's a total dick. Also, he nuked a part of his own country. So he's a real bastard. Sephiroth, what an asshole. He finds out his mother is some science experiment, comes out, kills his own men, goes crazy.
Destroys that village.
I think he's justified, and that's one of the things I like so much about Final Fantasy.
Yo, he was brutally murdering everyone. He murdered his own people.
Well, yeah. Well, okay. This is probably just a fan theory, but Jenova was an Esper, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, so if Jenova was an Esper, if you played Final Fantasy VI, the game right before it, you'll find that the human race committed complete and utter genocide on all of the Espers, and Jenova is the last one.
Yeah, but I mean,
So-
it's like the
So
problem.
that leads Jenova to view humanity as basically an evil virus capable of killing all life on the planet, and tries to cure the planet of it. It's a vengeance story, at least from Jenova's point of view, and Sephiroth is Jenova. That's why. Don't get me wrong, still an asshole, but I love a believable antagonist. I love an antagonist who you can look at them and be like, you know, I kind of get it. Like, and I think that's what makes Sephiroth like, yeah, huge asshole, flinging a meteor at the earth, but kind of justified at the same time.
Well, he was like, the thing with him is that he was like celebrated on, like he was a freaking god to everyone. He was like the hero, and then like when he finds out his origins, that switch turned quicker than freaking crazy, like the speed of light, man. He turned, just went ham on everyone.
Yeah. Well, I mean, think about it. If you found out like if you were like a great soldier for an army, right, and then you found out that your parents weren't actually your parents, they were murdered and you were stolen as a baby to be put into like this special program to create a super soldier. Like, none of this was an accident. You were engineered to do this, and they've been lying to you the whole time. Like, I'd flip my shit a little bit.
Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Anyway, throw in some more NPCs.
Bowser.
Patches from the Souls games.
Oh God.
Do you know who? Yo, Princess Peach in Mario Odyssey.
Yeah, I know why you're saying that. That's right. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but it's like, yo, come on, really?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Not gonna spoil, but I totally feel you on that one. I got that. Like, really, bitch?
I wonder if you guys are gonna argue with me on this one. Kratos?
He's not. He's a playable character.
Does it have to be an NPC?
Yes, NPC.
Okay.
Yeah. He's a playable character. You know.
That's true.
What about Kefka, man? That fucking clown.
God, Kefka was awful.
He was a dick, man.
Dude, Kefka was way worse than Sephiroth.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. I think Kefka's the most evil villain I can think of in a video game.
Because he's blatantly evil. Kefka, he's not doing it because he was fucked up as a child, because he's trying to make the world better. He's just fucked up, and he wants to see the world burn, literally. He's just evil. I love that shit, the simplicity of it. All right.
Well, in that case, Ganon has to be up there. He just won't die.
Yeah, Ganon's an
He just
asshole.
keeps coming back. He's a nightmare to generations of people.
Oh man. All right, let's move on here. I need to actually go again. So many fucking questions. We actually missed one, so let's get to it. Also from Antonio. Games as a service titles like Overwatch, GTA Online, PUB, Destiny seem to swallow a lot of playtime for many gamers, which makes other games suffer in sales. Do you think games as a service is hurting the industry? Not a very simple question, right? You guys know how we feel about these games as a service things, man. I'm not a fan of that shit.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. I think it is.
It's because these games are becoming the platforms. Like it's like I think I mentioned this last show. Like games like Overwatch and Pug are like I'm gonna call it Pug.
I'm calling it Pug too.
It's like these and GTA. These games are becoming the platform, not Xbox and not PlayStation and not Nintendo Switch. It's like people are gravitating towards those titles instead of a platform that has several titles.
Yes,
if that makes any sense. So it makes the market share so much more homogenous in that aspect. So I do think that hurts it. Like especially it kills the middle developer as well, because this is like a boom or bust industry. It's like either a AAA with all of these like different microtransactions and loot boxes and stuff, or these indie games that are going to be made. There's not that much middleware in the industry anymore.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that one. What do you guys say about games as a service? Is it hurting the industry?
Nah.
You think it's fine? Why do you think it's fine?
I prefer it.
Really? Over like traditional games?
Just because it gives longevity to your purchase. Everyone's always bitching about, oh, this game's too short. They didn't have that much time. Oh, I didn't put too much into this. You know, it's well, if they put all this time into it, they're investing money in new updates on that same title. How could you bitch about it? You're getting more content. Yeah, there's a fee to it, but that game still works. It's still being relevant. I mean, you see Ubisoft is doing great with it when it's Siege and doing all the maps, and then with the Division and adding even more maps to that and other sections into that, and then you see with Wildlands. I mean, it works. And of course, Grand Theft Auto, it works. And people are getting more bang for their buck. So then when you have the next crew of people like, damn, I don't know what to get. It's like, well, all your buddies are jumping in. Hey, Grand Theft Auto still has new content. Really? That was years ago. Yeah, it still got new stuff. All right, I'll drop another 60. Yeah, let me get that. So it works. It works.
Yeah, but don't you think that takes away time from other games?
That's not their. That's their own problem. Make a better game.
Yeah. Well, I got a good interjection, Adam. These types of things are the reason why Titanfall 2 didn't sell that well.
Yep.
Titanfall 2 was put in a bad spot. That's not the game's fault. That was just the developers not giving a shit.
Yeah, but I mean, Titanfall 2 could have sold after that, but no, there's no need because people have plenty of experience with Call of Duty and Battlefield. They have so much to do. They can't get to the.
Yeah, why go to Titanfall when you got plenty of shit to do in Call of Duty?
That even though that Infinite Warfare sucked, I hated it, you know, and I love my Call of Duty games, and I hated that one. It still was in the top 10
because it's Call of Duty, bro.
But you even said it before when I was like, oh look, World War II is doing great, and it's outselling the other one. You're like, because it's Call of Duty. That doesn't make sense then, because the last one should have been better. You know,
yeah, no, my point is even a shitty Call of Duty will always sell because of the name. Because like Carlos said, it's not about the platform. The game is the platform now. Understand?
No.
But I don't. How do you not see that? The game is the brand now. The game is the platform. You know,
the name is the platform.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what's happening now. And the thing is like, okay, you have a game with a million hours of content. How the fuck are you going to go through it all if you have other games to play?
But that's the key. That's the case with everything. I mean, look at the iPhone. You know, people know about all these other phones, but when they hear there's a new Apple phone, they're like, oh, well, that's Apple. You know, so it was like, oh, I get it. That's going to be quality. You know, I mean, that was the way it was with Sony with TVs and Walkmans. You know, everybody was thinking
that's
Walkman,
the point.
When Sony came out one. But that's always going to be there. No one can bitch about that and say,
yeah,
oh, well,
why? Yeah, of course they could bitch about that.
Oh, they could, but it's the way it is.
So, Tony, what you're saying is if the Sony Walkman didn't exist, you think several other equally quality pieces of equipment would have popped up to take its place? Or do you think it would have just been a market flooded with cheap, inferior products that don't measure up?
It's a good question. I don't know how to answer that, to be honest.
I personally think the Sony Walkman came to prominence because it was the best of it met a sweet spot of quality and price point and accessibility and all of these things, and that's what allowed it to take off. I think in the vacuum of that, you would have maybe had something similar, but I think it would have been much more divided. And while I would agree with you in most of this gaming on principle, I will say that some of the most fun I've ever had in video games have been in games as a service. And Warcraft and GTA specifically are probably some of the top two, but Ark is another one.
By the way, Brent, no one is saying that these experiences aren't good. That's what we're saying. The problem is they're too good that it monopolizes.
So good.
No, like they monopolize people's times.
Yeah,
so my question then becomes, what do you mean good for the game industry? Do you mean good for game developers or good for the players?
That's
because
a good
we're talking about good for the players, as long as I have enjoyable content to play on a never-ending basis, that is always good for me, the consumer. I do not give a shit whether that comes from one company, 9 companies, 2 companies, 4 companies, if it's one game, 14 games. As long as I have constant high-quality content being brought to me that is better than the content that was released before, and if it is always sliding upwards, then I am a happy guy. And I've had a lot of that actually happen with games as a service because it aligns their interests with yours. You want to have as much content in this game as possible, and they want you to play this game as much as possible. And so they work really hard to make sure that you don't get bored of the game, versus other games where they're like, fuck you, I got your $60. So if it's what's good for me, well, what's good for me is always having something fun to play, and half the time not having to pay anything for it. So that would mean games as a service are pretty good for me.
Yeah. And then, Tony, we talked about this last week with the sport games. It was like, oh, it's about time that they start thinking about doing something like that. Well, there you go. Game as a service for sports.
But I don't know. But here's the games as a service with sports makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. You're not having a new narrative every year or whatever. You're just having the same ass game every year with a different roster. It makes sense. But I don't think, here's where I'm coming at it from, right? Okay, you have this X game with 100 million hours worth of content, but I have 5 other games to play. I'm not going to be able to pay this one game that much attention because I got all this other shit I need to be playing.
But that's up to the person, and that's that gamer's problem.
No, and that's the point. For some, it's worth it, but for some, it isn't. Understand?
But see, then Tony,
due to the timing, it's like, hey, one game. Let's say a new game comes out. Let's say Wolfenstein.
Oh, Adam froze.
Okay, well,
you know what?
Oh, go ahead, Adam. You froze. Say that again. You said Wolfenstein.
So let's say if you're one of these GTA guys, you're living in that universe, you're loving it, it takes up a lot of your gaming time. You want to play Wolfenstein. You're like, okay, you look at the specs and the timing, you find out it's like 5 to 10 hours. Go ahead and invest in it because there's no multiplayer in it. It's a story. It's only going to be a certain chunk of time, and you can jump back into your world. It's not like I would think the bigger question is if you're jumping from universe to universe like a Destiny and then a GTA, then they're conflicting right there. Those are hours and weeks.
But that's a good thing. That's a good thing because then both Destiny and GTA are going to have to be like, we're going to have to bump up our game in order to compete with Destiny, or Destiny is saying like, we're losing players to GTA, we need to create more content. Well, are we going to charge them $60 for that? No, because GTA is giving that shit for free. We need to compete. Like, competition is good for the consumer.
Yeah, this is going to be awesome. This is going to be an awesome time. 2018 is going to be great.
Oh man! All right, Chris, get in here, man. What are your thoughts on this shit?
Well, it's a double-edged sword to be sure, because I think while you get a lot of content out of a single game, I think it homogenizes things because other game, especially big publishers like EA or whatever, they start to go, oh, that's what people want, so we'll just do that, and they focus all their attention on that. I think, honestly, like, look, they're working on Anthem, which is just their version of Destiny. They took all. I really think they took all the A-listers off of Mass Effect, and we ended up with Andromeda. So one part of the industry hurts when you do that, when you focus all the attention on that, and all they see is dollar signs, right? So that platform works. It gives you a lot of content, but then everything goes in that direction. Look at what they did now. They killed that single-player Star Wars games. Oh, we'll just focus on Battlefront and multiplayer experience. We don't need this shit.
Does anybody know what Respawn is doing with it? It's obviously a first-person shooter, but Do we know anything?
No,
about
they
that
don't. I mean, Star Wars, we don't know what they're doing with that. We have absolutely no idea. You know.
So, Chris, my question to this, or my reaction to your statement would be: so where's the GTA 5 copycat?
Well, it doesn't have
Mafia?
because oh yeah, actually Mafia 3 did try to
Saints
cut
Row.
it but badly.
He's
Well,
talking
no,
about
but
the
now
online.
with
He's talking about the
universe,
online.
now
He's talking
with
about the.
the
He's talking about the online
Yeah, now with
aspect.
the universe.
You're already getting them. You know, Destiny, fucking the Division,
it's
all
not
that
in
shit.
not
It's the same type of thing. It's like you're playing a bunch of hours online, and you're just doing the same shit over and over and over again. It's the same type of thing.
But
You're going
we
online,
played
you know,
GTA,
spending money and shit.
Got all that other stuff. There's different. They actually have a different story and
Yeah, no, but it's the same type of thing. It's like you're spending all your time, all your money on this one game. You know.
Just because you that is pretty much how you interact with any video game, Tony. One is an open world sandbox. The other is a traditional MMO light. They are very different structure of games.
They're not the same.
I don't know, but the thing is, you're still playing online. I still see it as when you go down to it, it's all still the same thing at the end. You know.
So is competitive online Street Fighter.
Yeah, you could say that too. You could say that. So if you're spending all your time on Street Fighter and not playing any other games, it's the same type of deal. You're like taking all this extra time that people could be playing on other games to just focus on one game. I kind of have a problem with that. You know,
doesn't that mean you have to make a game better than Street Fighter to pull your attention away?
No,
not
like
really.
No, because like let's say for example, like what if Lawbreakers is actually better than Overwatch?
No one's gonna care because they're on Overwatch now.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. Yeah. That's why Lawbreakers failed so hard.
Like, look at Battleborn is Overwatch, but it had a single player. Nobody cared.
Because they're playing Overwatch. People go to the shit that's more important. Like, let's just be honest. Mixer is, objectively speaking, a better streaming service. No one's on that shit. Because everybody knows Twitch. It's the same type of deal, you know? So I do think, I agree with everything Chris said. It homogenizes shit, and it takes attention away from other games, you know? How many times haven't you seen it, like, this year? Hey, check this game out. Oh, I can't. I'm playing Destiny. I'm like, see? You're depriving yourself of other shit, you know?
But I think there are some people that want that though. Like,
yeah, that's a personal preference.
Yeah, no, that's fine, you know. But you know, if every game is like that, that's gonna be a fucking problem.
I'm not blaming the players with this decision. I'm blaming the suits who run things like and Activision who look at that and they cut the projects that other people like Tony and me or May would play. They cut those things because they think everybody wants that.
Yeah, we're not getting that Amy Henny game now. We're not getting that. We're going to get some generic bullshit Star Wars multiplayer game now. You know,
but you know what? It's okay because they'll try it, then it'll fail, and then they'll go back to the old way. But they have to try. They want to make that big money, man. You see the transaction.
No, I understand. I totally understand. And we got a question about that. But yeah, anyway, let's move on. We still got a couple here. Wiz Cole. Or you know, he called, dude. You're not Willie Robinson. Change your fucking name. All right. So his first question, because his buddy's account is Willie Robinson, but that's not his name. I'm like, you're confusing everyone, bro. So his first question is, we've kind of talked about this, so we don't have to go over it too much, but what would it take to make a new console from a new manufacturer? Meaning, how much money, what kind of games, the hardware needs, what type of audience would it need, etc. So it's a play on, because Brett, remember we talked about this a couple weeks ago about, like, you know, how could you have a fourth, you know, competitor? But what would a new console need in order to succeed? You know, because again, I'm still of the mind that 3 is the max. It used to be only 2 dominated, with the third one being far behind. Now we actually have 3 that are kind of equal. You know, so, and that's never been heard of. I don't think you could inject a 4th one in there personally. But
I don't think we really have 3 that are kind of equal. That's
no. Well, now here's the thing. Go back to like last gen. That's the first time we saw that. We, you know, blew everybody out the water. PS3 and Xbox 360. There wasn't one that was trailing behind.
We never stuck around. The last time,
Brett, it sold the most. That's my whole point. The thing sold like 100.
But
yeah,
I know the sales numbers, but we all live in the real world, and we all remember halfway, like a third of the way into its life cycle, everybody had stopped taking it seriously, including all gamers and all developers.
More like 2/3 of the way. But my point is, you had 3 viable systems. You never had that before. You've never had that before.
It wasn't viable. You know? Just because it sold a bunch of systems doesn't mean it was viable. It never had a
actually.
I
disagree. I disagree.
That's
with
why
that.
everybody just bought Wii Sports, and that's it. The games were never like the platform itself was never viable, and that was the problem. They thought it was viable because they sold so many goddamn systems.
So you're telling me that
nobody bought games for it.
That last gen, only the PS3 and 360 were the only viable systems, even though the Wii outsold them both.
Well, it had a low attach rate. Game attach rate.
Yeah, people just bought the system. They played Wii Sports, and they were done with it. But you can't take away.
But again,
we got to get back on point here. What would it take to make a new system, viable?
I don't think. Look at the cell phone market. It has 4 major competitors, and they are a constant clusterfuck of chaos and confusion. I think 4 is a terrible number. So we could have a 4th person come in. I don't think there's any clear-cut thing they could do to pull ahead, other than making it maybe an open system. That's why I said I think the Steam box could, in theory, work, because it would kind of be a PC disguised as a console. So it would allow you to upgrade it, and that would set it apart from enough of the other things. But if it's just another fucking system like this new Atari they're talking about, then all you're going to do is throw the entire hierarchy into fucking chaos.
But Brad, remember when you said that the system would need to do something that nobody else is able to, like technology?
And that's what I'm saying. Like it would have to be upgradable. I think much like a PC, customizable and upgradable. There is. Everybody wants to have their own thing or send digital emoji stickers or whatever the fuck. Everybody likes customizing and making things their own, putting wallpapers on things, upgrading their things. Even like you see some of the new Samsung phones that are coming out, like they have modular attachments to it. Like the idea for people to upgrade and customize something is
we love it with clothes and sneakers. You know what I mean? It just makes sense.
Yeah, it's something that's just kind of human and wired into us. Instead of replacing something, why can't I just make it better? Or, even if I'm not going to replace it, why can't I just make it better? I think that would separate it enough. But yes, you would definitely have to have something that separates it significantly, and it would probably have to be upgradability. Because then all of a sudden you can spend $800 on a console because you're able to upgrade it later. So then you could really just knock the fucking socks off of everything else on the market. And that price point wouldn't be quite so scary because it's a one-time price point, and you can just upgrade as you go, much like PC. I think shy of that, there's not really a whole lot you could do.
All right.
Hologram?
Carlos, what do you think, man?
I think there is like space for a 4th console. I disagree. If there's enough exclusive games, it'll be viable. I think it's as easy as that, because as far as the hardware, I mean, the Switch has proved that the hardware limitations do not affect your sales as much as we'd like to believe it does.
Yeah, Chris. So Chris, where you at? There you are. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, I really don't know. I agree with Carlos that there's always room for more. I always think competition, is a good thing.
They're boozing.
Hey, that's not teetotal, man. I really don't know what to differentiate, because everything is like converging on PC hardware. Like all the consoles we have now is just basically watered down PCs inside. I honestly don't know what. Like my dream, if Sega got back into the console business, like what the hell do you build? And what do you make to differentiate yourself in the market, yet make something that could really compete with what we have now? That's a hard one. I gotta have to think about that.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Adam, what do you say, man?
Yeah. Damn. It's gonna be tough, because I mean, if you want something that's super powerful, you have it. You have the PC. Back in the day, you didn't really have that. So it was just looking at the consoles. PCs just weren't at that level yet. But now they are. They're surpassing that. So if someone jumps in, it's like, well, if I'm going to spend that much, then I might as well go the PC route. You know what I mean? It's like, it's where's the sweet spot for a 4th console? That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Where is it?
Do you guys even think exclusives can sell consoles anymore? And let me
Not really.
expand on that by saying, think about how many exclusives a platform can generally put out per year, and I'd say on the high end it's probably about 6. And I think that's be quite generous actually.
Whoa, what do you mean by 6? Because Sony's probably released like like good 20, 30 this year alone. They're not all AAAs. It could be indie games.
I'm talking AAA,
okay,
quote
gotcha.
unquote system seller type games.
Yeah, 6 sounds about pushing it, to be honest. Yeah. Okay.
So
6 per year, 6 per generation.
6 per year. Yeah, yes, that's pushing it. But yeah, let's go with that. Let's just go with 6, but that's kind of pushing it. Anyway, go ahead.
That's not a lot, and a lot of times it's not enough to really justify a purchase for a whole lot of people. I mean, take Nintendo for instance. Everybody knew Nintendo was going to be coming out with its exclusives. It's Zelda and Mario and everything like that, and people were saying, I know they'll come out with first-party games, and I know they'll come out with first-party games that I like, but that's not enough to justify me buying the system. It's not. Nobody's even going to believe into the Switch until it has a very healthy third-party support. So, I feel like we've been shown the evidence that exclusives don't sell systems anymore because there's just not enough of them to. Or at least there's not enough of them to.
The Switch actually had 6 AAA exclusives this year. Just to be fair.
And people knew that, and it still wasn't enough to get them to believe. And it even a company like Nintendo, who no matter what you can say about them, they generally deliver a good amount of first-party exclusives, and they're generally very high quality and well received. If a company that hits that well on exclusives can't rely and float just on its exclusives, then I don't really know that there's a system that can.
No, but the difference between Nintendo and probably anything else is that first-party Nintendo exclusives are completely different than any other studio with their exclusives. Like Nintendo's first-party exclusives are Mario, Zelda, sometimes Metroid, like those types of games. Kirby, Yoshi, like Sony's is like Nier, Last of Us, Uncharted, God of War, Spider-Man. Like they're completely different in like. They're different types of exclusives. Like the reason why, for example, the Wii U didn't sell, and it had its own exclusives, is because it didn't have. Well, first of all, there's a lot of the reasons why that shit failed, but like Nintendo exclusives are completely different than almost anything else, because Nintendo exclusives are kind of like their own subset of gaming that. I don't know.
I would agree with that, but wouldn't you say that Wii U failed mostly because of lack of third-party support, or at least perceived lack of third-party support?
Yeah, that's a good wording, because it started off with really good third-party support.
It did, but nobody had the faith in it because they didn't think it had third-party support. Which that line of thought leads me to believe, while exclusives are still noteworthy and worth talking about, and something that influences people, I don't think a console could just come out of left field with no public faith. Even if they're like, oh, here's 4 really cool looking exclusive games, I don't know that would be enough to sell the general public on them. I feel like you need more than just exclusives.
Well, here's the thing. Think about it. This generation started in 2013, maybe 2012, 2013. We've had the Xbox One, the Xbox One S, now the Xbox One X. PS3, PS4, PS4 Slim, PS4 Pro, PSVR, the fucking Switch, and the Wii U. They've sold fucking tons of those, man. Like, and they're still selling. So you're saying that someone wouldn't not spend money on an iteration of a console and get a new console that has new exclusive games and different platform? Like,
no, my point is that, like many of us, like me at least, I have a PlayStation. So I can play all of PlayStation's games plus all third-party games. Now, is it generally worth it for me to go out and pay the hundreds of dollars to pick up an Xbox for the few extra Xbox exclusive games? I'm buying an Xbox just for its exclusives at that point. that's going to be really tough. So anybody else breaking into the race is already going to be up against that. Everybody else is already they already have a console that plays all the multi-plat games that they're going to play.
Brett.
Yeah.
All right. Apple's going to release a console next year. It's the only console that'll have the new Dark Souls game, the new Fallout game, the new Hellblade game, and the new Zelda game. Would you buy it?
Probably.
And that's all you need. Like whenever there's exclusives, there's a potential.
But those are my 4 like top like that you're. So I guess sometimes again, but I feel like I'm the exception to the rule. I bought a Switch for Zelda, even though everyone was like, "That's not a sister Zelda." Like, I would buy for just a couple of games, but they would really have to be those sweet spot games. So like, yeah, I maybe you're right. Maybe if they just released the 4 most like panty dropping exclusives I've ever seen, I'd be like, all right, I'm on board. I don't even care if there's third party support on this thing. But I feel like without a history, like I would be feel much better about this, honestly. And I hate to say this, if Sega came out, because at least be like, oh, it's Sega. I mean, I know it's not Sega. I know it's somebody wearing a Sega suit, but I at least feel like I have some history there. If Apple came in, like I'd be really, really hesitant to buy an Apple console because Apple has always basically been against gaming, against being open anyway. They've been a closed platform that treats their customers like assholes. So I just
use Apple as an example, not necessarily.
I thought you used them because I hated them. But that's a good point, and I guess it comes down to if I didn't know anything about the company or had bad history with the company, I'd still be hesitant. If I had heard of the company or had some good experience with the company, I might be more down. Like if Razer decided to come out with a console. Like I've used a lot of Razer products. They're pretty cool. They're not the greatest quality, but they do some neat stuff, and I'm sure they have some connections. So I might be interested. If Keurig decided to come out with a console, I'd be like, I do not trust that shit for a second. Be like, oh well, it's got Dark Souls 4. I'd be like, yeah, I don't know what's going on with this.
Yeah, but as opposed to Sega and Razer, Apple has all the hype behind that company. They will sell the shit out of this. They'll put a guy with a British accent explaining to you what the hell this console does. People will buy that shit, man. Trust me.
I just hate Apple. I hate Apple so much.
Yeah, they're terrible. All right, let's move on. And by the way, I'm just gonna apologize to some people. This will be the last question of the show because we're running too fucking long. All right. With Nintendo's so-called quote unquote success, do you see Nintendo staying in core gaming consoles, or do you see them eventually fading away from that realm? I don't see that portability argument keeping Nintendo going with horrible games like Doom on Switch. I'm guessing you're a little biased there, bro. Okay, let me go first because, I was always the guy saying Nintendo's fucking done. They're going to have to go third party now. The Switch is going to fucking tank. That didn't end up happening. So I don't think you could talk about them going third party now, like, reliably because the Switch is doing so well. I don't know how well it's going to do next year. It may bomb, but going forward, I think, it's not going to become a third party type of deal. It's going to be a first party manufacturer. I don't see that happening anytime soon. What about you guys? Come on, niggas, jump in.
I'm confused. Does he mean they're going to go third party, like drop out? Like, I don't see that happening either.
Yeah, neither do I.
I mean, like you said with quote unquote success, they're doing way better than I thought they did. And so I wrote an old editorial. I'm gonna have to take that editorial and flush it down the toilet in March. With that being said, he didn't. I don't know. We talked about the Doom score on Switch. Like, look, it's still Doom, but yeah, come on, 16 points higher.
Yeah, we're not gonna get into that, right? That's fucking ridiculous. You're seriously gonna tell me Doom on Switch is better than Doom on PS4? Fuck out of here.
Yeah, and listen, like if they fade away from the core game, I think they learned a lesson with the Wii and the Wii U, right? I hope so, because if they do that shit again, yeah, they're sunk. Like, there's no way to fade away from core gaming. We're the guys that are fucking keeping them in the business. That's why they're selling now. This is why the Wii U fucking tanked. because they decided to expand to grandma and grandpa and everyone else with Wii Fit and all these things that they thought were evergreen, and it crashed and burned. So there's no way they're going to fade out of that. There's no way.
Yeah, no, they're making too much money now. That's not
Yeah.
going to happen, you know. Any other thoughts, guys?
I pretty much agree. It's they've found a second wave like from the Switch success. How much they'll contain it and keep it steady with sales, we'll see. But as far as this year is concerned, they've done pretty well, and I don't see them moving on to as a third party studio anytime soon.
No, I mean, no. Well, no, they're making too much money. Between this and all their other handhelds, the 2DS, the 3DS, I mean, come on. You know what I mean? It's just, they haven't hit rock bottom. If anybody's going that route, it would be Microsoft.
Oh, shit.
I'm just saying.
Oh, man. All right. So with that, let's wrap it up here. So thank you for watching and listening. Leave us a question to the comment section of this episode here on YouTube or over on the Coalition. We'll answer them on next week's show.
Including the ones we forgot.
Yeah, including those. Well, this is one episode, so we're good this week, you know. Yeah, we'll answer those next week. So yeah, subscribe to Throwdown, you know, the usual places: SoundCloud, iTunes, YouTube. Follow us on Twitch, Mixer, Twitter, and Facebook at Throwdown Show. Links are located in the description below. Once again, our show is Tony Polanco. And I was joined by Chris Seeley.
Hey, take care, everyone.
Carlos Romero.
Later.
Brett Murdoch.
Deuces, everyone.
And Adam Vale.
Have fun playing that COD.
All right, guys. We'll see you on Thursday, man. Peace.
Later, people.
Pop up in the face.